T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man,
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
exclusive. Oh,
So stop calling us.
Scrub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the scrub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the scrub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the scrub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the scrub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Scrub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the scrub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the scrub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the scrub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up.
you are now tapped into the coolest reptile podcast in the world. I'm your boy MJ, and I am live and direct with Canada's finest. Holy shit! Look at my surroundings right now. What a lineup, man!
What's going on?
I can't believe we're tapping in. I'm right here. Wait, what part of Canada are we in, Will?
We're in Ontario.
Ontario, Canada.
Yeah, we're
in the country.
Yes,
Okay.
northeast Ontario. Yeah.
Hour from Toronto-ish.
Well, I love it up here. I'm not gonna lie. This has probably been, nothing against the city, right? But city can't compare to life like this,
I would
Especially
agree.
this house. I want to say this house is so beautiful.
Yeah, it
I
really
cannot
is.
believe. So far the scenic up here is to die for. But first and foremost, before we go forward with anything, I got to give major props to the sponsor of this episode, and dude, my road dog, literally my man Christian from Morphin Endorphins. Thank you so much for making this podcast episode, whatever, possible. And honestly, thank you for driving us around. This guy,
Pleasure. It's
all
been so
through
fun.
Canada, I feel like he's been
So
taking
fun.
me and the homie Matt Summers, but Christian's really diverse and really dialed in with boas. He has amazing ball python stuff. I mean, you don't want to sleep on this guy's work. So please do me a favor, head over to Instagram and tap in with one of Canada's finest for sure. On not only the boa level, but the ball python level, man. You got some good things in the work.
Yeah.
And should I blame your surroundings? I mean, I don't know. You're surrounded some good mentorship, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with that being said, Will Moroz, man, the man of the hour. Thank you for showing us so much hospitality. Inviting me and Matt. Got to go swimming in your pool. But how you been, man? I mean, I know how you've been. I can tell you life has been good for the homie Will. But for everybody out there know, how's life been up here in the countryside? I mean, you have a lot of stuff that I feel like is on its surface of revealing, but that's on your terms, obviously. But let everyone know how you've been, man. How's everything?
It's been really good. We've been just focusing on breeding and just making sure everything's going well, and things are pretty good. I can't complain really whatsoever. This year we really stepped up our production as far as the amount. We're probably going to be looking at double our best season ever. So I mean, I don't know if we're ready for it yet, but we're going to find out.
What's crazy is for somebody who's been in the game as long as you have, I feel like you've always kept things less is more. I don't think you've ever been ever wanted to be in a position where you're just blowing stuff out of your room, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everything's strategic.
No, definitely not.
And I can tell you guys, just wait for this vlog to drop and wait to show you a taste of what this guy has because out of all the and this is nothing against anyone I visited. Trust me, everyone has their own taste, everyone level, but I've never seen so much power in one morph throughout a whole collection. And you know I'm talking about DG, bro. And then we haven't gone to puzzle yet, but let's just focus on what DG's done for you. And I'm talking like, man, when did you first stumble across DG? Let's remind some people out there.
So we would have picked Desert Ghost up in likely 2010 or 2011. It would have come in from the Bells. So everything that we work with is Bell line Desert Ghost. And then we've just really been working it since then. It stumbled kind of out of the gate for us because of the name Desert. Obviously, there was the Desert Incomplete Dominant gene that just didn't pan out. The females weren't viable, and I couldn't tell you how many people told me, "Oh, I don't know why you keep breeding those. The females aren't going to go for you." And I mean, well, they did. So
surprise.
Yeah. So we knew right from the get-go, obviously, that Desert Ghost was its own mutation and not a Desert Hypo, which is what most people were thinking it was at the time. But
let's talk about the time, right? Like, who would have thought anything would have been anything at that time, right? I mean, as far as other than what you invested in, I mean, especially by having something like the Desert gene, kind of maybe almost can mislead someone to want to even invest in anything else.
Sure, yeah.
How scary that could be. But
I mean, for us, honestly, man, we looked at like GHI and bananas, and they at the time those were huge ticket items. Like those were $50,000 type of animals, and that just wasn't in the cards. So we I don't remember where we saw the first pastel DG that we ended up getting, but I do remember going to the airport and picking it up and taking it out of the bag and looking at it and was like, what's going on? Like, why is nobody looking at this thing? Like, look at them.
What year was that?
That was likely 2010 or 2011. I couldn't tell you exact date. I mean, I'm sure we can find the CITES paperwork for it, but yeah, that was right through Reptile Industries, Mark and Kim Bell. Great people, great to work with, and yeah, we took it and went from there.
I mean, I have a roundtable question right off the bat that I'm thinking of is, and whoever could kind of chip in or chime in on this. Researching for snakes to buy in 2010 in Canada, what the fuck was that like? I mean, because I mean, even now you guys are at that position where you guys could stay within Canada and still get your own heat. But even yourself, you Christian, you guys still look at America to where to get certain things that you need, right? But this is 2022. What about 2010? Like, was it the same thing, just less, or what was it like back then? I'm just curious.
Email lists back then.
Yeah,
email lists.
Yeah, there was a lot of email lists going on. I mean, a lot of the times we gravitated to Ralph Davis, just because you'd watch the video, you'd see the stuff he's making, and just be like, "Holy shit, man! Like, what is this stuff?" And it just was just like we sort of gravitated that way. And then, you know, as we went further and further along, you'd start to, hey, you should take a look at this person, you should take a look at that person, and then you'd reach out to them, you'd give them a call, and generally it was an email list and a lot of stuff done on King Snake, the forums.
Yeah. Was that only Canada?
Wow.
No, that King Snake was an international one, but we had Reptiles Canada here,
Right.
which was a forum, which I don't even know if it's still going.
Is it still going?
Is it?
I haven't checked in
Really?
years.
It was like, yeah.
Forums used to be huge.
But that was it. Like you'd hatch something and then you'd post it on the forum, and then there'd be a thread about that animal or whatever's going on. But it was
Facebook took over.
it was a pretty bitter place. Like a lot of
That's what it's okay.
a lot of bickering and
What I'm trying
you
to
know.
get at is like, I'm sure it must have been difficult for you guys to get certain snakes from certain people. I
Yeah.
feel like certain breeders, and I mean, without getting too political, but certain breeders didn't want you guys to have certain things,
No.
and made it difficult for you guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like
when
when
outsourced their animals as much to people,
Right.
Certain specific people, but yeah, not as much as it is now. That's for sure.
Yeah, way different. In 2000, I think it was in 2014, I went to a show, and there was a guy. This was when I first got into ball pythons. I had no idea, like, except for the pet shop, you know, brown ball python. I didn't know about pies. I didn't know about counts. I didn't know about anything. And I showed up. I'm like, yo, this is sick. The spine. And I asked the guy, what is the snake? He tells me like, oh, it's spine, whatever. And I was like, how much is it? How much is it? And he looks at me. He just goes, oh, like, you can't afford this. Without asking me, like, without saying a price, without knowing who I am, without nothing.
Just judging.
He's like, oh, you can't afford this. I was like, all right, now I gotta get a bunch of bites. And
I'll show you.
yeah.
So I mean, let's kind of speed things up to foundations you stuck. I feel like for people who follow you, they kind of know what the obvious foundation has been for you.
Sure.
But I'm curious on I mean, everyone has their own personalities, bro, but I feel like something that you did really well was just not care to let people know what you had during the time. I mean, can you kind of dabble? I just barely heard about how you kind of you came in 2010 and there was a certain area where you just laid low and nobody heard from you.
Sure.
And I don't really know too much about that. I want to hear it from you. So what was happening then? What was it that made you just want to say, fuck it, I'm going to dip out for a little bit? And then what made you bring it? Made you want to come back? I'm just curious.
It was just like honestly, like it was just you go onto the forums and it was just grown men bitching at each other about colors on snakes. And it was just kind of like what the hell?
Here's what we do.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, right. I was just like, what the hell? And we just kind of like, I was working, I was doing other stuff, and it was a hobby. It wasn't a business at the time. It was just we were just having fun, just enjoying it. And so we kind of we were still moving animals, we were still selling stuff just to people that knew who we were.
Right.
And we weren't producing on a big scale, maybe 20 clutches a season type thing. And we would move them to guys that we already knew or things along those lines. And so I just kind of stopped posting on forums, stopped posting on Facebook, stopped posting on anything, and just kind of went like, don't care. And then all of a sudden we just kind of like got to this point where we're like, man, we've made some pretty cool stuff. While we've been hiding.
So while you were hiding, you weren't buying shit, or you were still buying
absolutely.
Shit?
We were bringing stuff in. Yeah,
you were still making moves.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we never stopped that mentality. Like just always pressing forward, right? You have to.
Right.
But yeah, no, we didn't stop bringing things in. We just stopped kind of advertising what we were doing.
So that means even though you weren't really putting stuff out there, your research never stopped. Your purchases never stopped.
Oh,
you
no.
still bought things that mattered to what you wanted to do.
Absolutely.
It was just you doing your own thing.
Yeah, he was just quiet about it.
Quiet about it.
Yeah.
And that's for how many years?
Probably 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Probably 2 or 3.
All right.
I didn't hear nothing about you, and then all of a sudden I'm like, who is this guy?
And this was because you popped up at a show, right?
Yeah.
You had stuff at the table, and people were like talking about this shit that you had, puzzle stuff that you had, and nobody could believe it or
There's
something.
2 display cases.
Yeah, it's all you had too.
And I saw Will, and I saw the logo, and I'm like,
What year was that?
I went and checked it out. Somebody said, "Oh, that guy Will, he's got all this puzzle stuff."
Yeah.
Puzzle? What the heck's puzzle?
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, none of it was for sale.
It's still not. Yeah.
And it's still not 10 years later.
So I mean, let's take it from there. I mean, let's talk about when you first came back out. You were at the show. I mean, I'm sure you saw it. Thank you, Matt. Matt Summers, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you saw a great response, right? You're probably like, holy shit, you know what I mean? Not only that you probably felt you had something good, but eventually people following you, people coming to you at your, seeing what you have kind of made you feel some type of way that you're doing the right thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, we never doubted that what we were doing was what we wanted to do.
Right.
So if people didn't like what we were doing, too fucking bad. We were going to do it anyway.
Yeah, it's happening.
That's what we're just going to work on what we like working on.
Right.
And it just, we brought it back out. We kind of like said, you know what, let's go to a show and let's vend a show. And it just kind of went from there, to be honest. And then it just became like, I actually really liked coming back out because then it was like all the people that I hadn't talked to in a few years, I can rekindle those relationships. All of these guys I didn't know before. I met Cleo at where did I meet you? At the CRB, didn't I?
No. So one time we met at like this dingy show in like Toronto. I was with Alex Barbeau.
Yeah.
And then I had like
That's when
talked
the
to you a
power
couple
went
of
out.
times online. Yeah, the power went out that day, right? The whole show.
Pitch black in the entire.
So and
Damn.
yeah,
Display case is missing.
that was crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, yeah. But then we really got to know each other at that CRB.
Right.
Like next fall. That's when we really got to know each other. Yeah.
So with you, obviously showing your faces at shows in your country, when did you feel like it was important for you to start making moves down and showing your faces at the NARBCs and the super shows?
Actually, we'd gone to a bunch of Tinleys beforehand.
Wow.
We were actually at the Tinley, I believe it was the Tinley Brock.
When you say
Wagner.
weird, who's weird? What do you
That would be my dad and myself.
shout out to Al. I just want to say
Shout out to
Al, he's an audio guy, not a video guy. And it's gonna happen. I'm gonna be the first one. I'm gonna be the first one to have Al on the show, audio wise. Watch it. Shout out to Al. That's all I gotta say.
So we went down to
Oh my god.
Tinley. What would that have been? 2009. I believe Brock had the banana at 65,000 on the table.
Oh wow!
I just remember they had Bubba the Gator there, and that was before they were putting tape on his mouth.
Like the real deal shows.
Like,
This is like the
yeah,
raw,
man. Like I was like a little sketchy. They're like, yeah, hug that gator and take a picture. I was like, do it. Go ahead. I don't know, man. I had KFC for lunch. What do you feed this thing? You know, like
it smells chicken.
Yeah, right. But we had actually gone to some NARBC shows beforehand.
Okay.
I think it was actually just Tinley.
Okay.
I had never done like Daytona or Arlington. I don't even know if Arlington was going on at the time. Honestly, I don't know.
I mean, and I got to ask you because I, you know, for instance, I remember first linking up. I mean, I linked up with you guys. It wasn't even a show. It was supposed to be a show, but I remember just meeting up with people that I've been inspired by just off of an Instagram account. After seeing people that you're inspired by in person, you kind of leave and feel a certain way. Like you feel like accomplished. Like, holy shit, I finally got to meet somebody, right? What was the feeling that you would get like after leaving a show like Tinley? I mean, did you come back inspired? Like, do these kind of shows kind of get you worked up? Or I'm just curious.
A bit of defeated and inspired at the same time.
Oh, I mean, as far as purchases, because you're dropping money, or what do you mean? Like, well, defeated how? How does Tinley defeat?
Oh, it's just like, I mean, when you're 2 years into this and you go to Tinley and you walk by Brock Wagner's table, you're just like, what? I got no chance, you know? Like, you just feel that way, but.
Oh, that defeated.
Yeah, like sometimes you leave Tinley just thinking like, man, like some of these projects are just so incredibly advanced that there's no way you're gonna catch up.
Yeah.
So
But
basically what I felt after walking into your room.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I look
Like,
at
well,
it.
I'm glad ball pythons aren't the only thing I do.
Thanks, Will.
Because I would be in trouble.
But you just gotta take something and run with it. Have fun with it. You know,
Right.
what do you really like working with?
I mean, if it's one thing that, you know, shout out to Justin Kabelka, one thing that he always has a response to is like, just do what you want to do.
Right.
Because if you do what you want to do, it's always a win. You know what I mean? And I mean, listen, at the end of the day, everyone wants to be somebody, I feel like, and it's one thing that's so common in this ball python game is the fucking like coattail riding and just you're basically following someone else's path. And what this fucking hobby needs is more branches, meaning more things that doing your own thing, like more projects like yours that are all DG influenced. Like that's years in the making. Like that's not a fucking, that's not 2 years. That's not like, I mean, you understand how much really like, and honestly trust in that gene. Of course, DG is what it is now. Everyone knows to get DG, but nobody knew that back in your day or back when you invested it. Like that was, because I remember I saw DG, I'm in 2017. I saw Hypo in DG. And I don't remember the DG wasn't that much more than a Hypo at that time. And for some reason, I still went with Hypo, not even really seeing what a DG can do.
Still not a bad option. But Hypo makes some incredible stuff.
Hypo's great. Ain't nothing wrong with silver, but it's not a DG. Like you gotta understand, there's Hypo, which Hypo matters. Hypo does matter.
Absolutely, it does.
Because what you put it in DG, and look where it is. You know what I mean?
I mean, the Hypo DG stuff is pretty badass. I do like it a lot.
I never even looked into DG until I met Will.
100%. Well, it was Will and Levance. Those were the two DG guys.
Like
on
seeing
that
something
guy.
in person at Will's the first time I went, I pretty much went home and now half my collection is at DG or DG.
Now, does anybody know the all history of DG and when it like first came in, or who actually was first fucking with it before even you got your hands on it? Like,
so that would be what I believe. I honestly don't know. I don't have that answer, but I'm pretty sure it would be the reason it's called Bell Line Desert Ghost would be the Reptile Industries, MARC and Kim Bell.
Wow. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So they would be. I mean, I guess they would have brought it in. I don't know where they got it from. I don't know the origin story on it. I honestly don't know. I just know that when you layer that stuff on there, it looks fucking awesome.
Right.
So we run with it. You know, and there's some guys now making like crazy DG stuff, and it's just getting started. I feel like.
And that's the thing. I mean, as much as you wrap your head around how much you could put DG into almost anything and have it be, you know, it relevant. Let's talk about it going into puzzle. Like, let's just talk about other shit that like people aren't ready for. And what I mean by that, it's now we're talking about what imagine what you could put in DG and puzzle. Yeah. So now here we have to see what Red Stripe does with that. We have to see what Yellow Belly does with that.
Oh,
everything. It's endless. It's almost, it
know.
gives me anxiety in a good way. You know what I mean? But with that being said, I want to feel like, you know, you told me earlier today that you're fine with just doing double recessives. Like, I mean, meaning like you're not too gun-ho about having everything triple and quad up. Like you're very content having double recessive projects.
I mean, it's just, don't get me wrong. We're definitely working some triple recessive projects. There's no doubt about it. But
that can intimidate people just getting into this.
And
and people who've been in this like me and just fucking now figuring out like that's the way to go. Like took me a long time to realize that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, cool. Now you wanted the triple recessive project. Well, guess what? Space, which is more than money. Me and Christian talked about how much space
more
is
valuable than time and money.
Right. You can't do shit without space, right? But then not only that, I don't know where I was going after that. That was on a good one, huh?
But the double recessive stuff, like, I think we've moved on. Like, not moved on, but so many people are like, you know, we got to go into the triples and we got to work on quads. Nothing wrong with that. Some of them are going to look amazing, but we haven't even scratched the surface with singles
or even a single. Yeah, look what Justin's doing now with clowns all the time. It's
just
like
with clowns,
one after the other. It's
you know, it's there's just so much to do. It's honestly endless. It's infinite.
I just go ahead.
Even me and Christian were talking earlier. Like even if you just wanted to do DG clown and then switch out DG for ultramel or hypo, and even everything that you want to go for, you might not hit anytime soon. So it's going to be a long road to get to where you want to. So
dude, it takes years.
I mean,
right? It's
like, but hitting is what motivates you, right? Like imagine when you hit something that keeps you in the game. If you really are trying to get into something, expecting to hit these triples, coming in new, bro. You know how many numbers are behind hitting these triples?
For us to approach a triple recessive project, though, I would work it so that the odds are much more in your favor. So I'd be like trying to pick. Let's say you're trying to go, I don't know,
like a visual to a het.
DG clown pied, right? We're now in the position where we've made a DG clown that's het pied, and now you can start to like take that and go to a DG pied. Now we have DG pieds that are het clown. Once you have those going together, the triples become significantly easier. If you're swinging at triple hat to triple hat, it can happen, but it's going to be a longer road.
But there's a lot of people too that are new hobbyists that aren't going to be able to invest that kind of money. So
absolutely,
or have the space.
And then if you can pick up a clown pod, breed to a DG, and make your triple hets, hey man, keep 6 girls and breed them. There's a good chance you're going to make some cool stuff in those clutches.
I love hearing a closet breeder story. What I mean by that is hearing someone who just like, dude, this is what I have for now. I'm going to do what I can. And next thing you know, they have a whole room. And then next thing you know, it's fucking Big Willie style building a second facility. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't, you can't shoot. But what I'm saying is you can't be a part. I mean, you definitely be a part of any Patreon page that's worth it. But you can't be jumping on Patreon page, looking at other people's positions saying, I want to do what they're doing. How do I get those animals without even just seeing what your foundation is? Because, dude, you built foundations. And then you built it off. That's what you have today.
Sure.
And I feel like and that wasn't based off going triple heads. Like what you had wasn't all this triple head.
At the time, you couldn't because you didn't have double visuals to start making triple heads, right? It was,
but look, what
double heads were crazy,
and look what you made with what you had at that time.
Yeah.
And now we're in a whole nother era, that because of Kabelka giving people hints on these quads and triples, people still aren't ready for it.
I gotta say, Justin, around 2014 really blew the market up with that leopard clown, the Batman stuff. That really
2014.
I think it was around. I think he made was it 2014?
Even the Pompeii's been 3 or 4 years.
Pompeii was 2017. Pompeii was 2018. No, yeah,
18, 20. So then it would have been probably around that time. And he just every time he'd post a video, I was like, what now? And just showing what's capable with just clown. It's just kind of like and exactly. And he just kind of like opened the curtain. It was like, look at what we can do. Look at there's the whole, it's just endless.
And even just the Batman project alone, look how much he's tinkered with it, adding new stuff to it.
Oh, tons of
project alone. There's so much still
different variations and stuff. I would love to see a DG Batman still.
Yeah.
Now, if I could revert this to Christian real quick, Christian, you basically the foundation behind your herp game was boas, right? Boas to start, right? Yeah. But here you are wanting to attack these triple recessive projects, right? Now, I mean, I talk to people who are really interested in getting the ball python game. Some feel like it's too late. I mean, what's in your opinion, with your experience, do you feel like you're too late to the game?
No, I don't think so. Like here's an example. When I did my first CRBE, 2011, 11 years ago, there was a lightning pied at Mark Mandick's table. It was $2,500. It won best in show. I just sold 2 lightning pies 11 years later for a package deal of $6,500.
Wow.
That's a double recessive.
Wow.
So 11 years later, they've increased in price, not dropped in price.
Yeah.
So is it too late to do triple recessives? Not at all. It's not too late to do double recessives. If you're just starting out and you buy an Ultramel or a DG and you put it to a clown or a pie, it's not too late.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, man, het sell. Look at het flits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you keep those heads?
Right. But I'm saying, and that's another thing too. You guys really need to understand the power of a het, man. I mean, and we were talking about things that are technically should be pos het, but goddamn, you see the influence. Like you see what you see. You know what I mean? And I feel, Will, like one thing you mentioned in the vlog is that that's a keeper for you, in your opinion, right? And if it's a female, and if it's something that is a part of a big project, right?
For sure.
I mean, because then again, like you said, the fact that you're labeling it pos het is automatically eliminating so much value off of it.
Right. What I like is when you start to hatch the stuff where you be keeping it anyways.
Exactly.
You'd be keeping it regardless of whether it was pos het or not.
Yeah.
But it's also pos het for something else. That's the ones
Why
I'm like,
not?
okay.
Because
Can't lose.
You know, the one we were talking about was a Desert Ghost Pie.
Right.
Desert Ghost Pie female, we were keeping that no matter what.
Right.
It is possible het for clown. I mean, why not? You know, like, yeah, for sure.
So, true or false, is lace basically a codon DG in your book?
But
Yeah.
yes and no.
I seen some today and I was like, holy hell.
Yeah, it's nice.
This is
Elaborate on that, yes or no.
Lace on its own, no. White lace absolutely gives you that
Which is a
Desert
super
Ghost.
form, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that
okay.
gives you that Desert Ghost look. The lace actually tends to throw. Well, Desert Ghost doesn't really throw any pattern. The lace does. So the lace will give you that like kind of that jagged belly dorsal,
yeah.
like that. Not dorsal, but like the similar to like a puzzle in a way. Like it has that like broken up, jaggedy belly line.
Yeah.
That you'll see on a lot of lace combos. Desert Ghost doesn't do that. I would still put a pastel DG and a pastel white lace side by side. My eye still goes to that contrast and the blacks that the DG brings in.
Yeah.
But with that said, the white lace stuff is incredible. We're working white lace stuff quite heavily, and I'd like to incorporate it into the DG stuff and go from there.
So I feel like DG put a lot of respect on Pastel's name for sure.
Oh yeah,
Especially because there are a lot of people at one point were saying fuck Pastel, which they were probably lost, which I mean, a lot of people could be misdirected, but would you say lace and pastel or white lace and pastel complement each other as well?
Yeah,
Like the same way DG and pastel does?
We've got just a fairly simple pastel lace clown, and she's gorgeous.
Right.
It's just pastel lace. It's just a 2-gene clown combo, and it's incredible looking snake. So, you know, this, I know that a lot of guys will say like, oh, pastel ruins clown combos because the pastels brown out and you put them into certain things. And yeah,
It's not always the case.
but I can also say that like black pastel ruins pastel clown combos.
Yeah.
Right. It depends which way you look at it.
There's a ton of different
As
arguments.
a general rule, I would agree. There's a lot of clown combos I would way prefer to see without pastel in them.
And I feel
But
like,
that doesn't mean all of them.
and I feel like a huge thing, and I'm sure a lot of you guys will fucking back me up on this because you guys are big on this, but the quality of the genetic you're working with. There's certain lines of certain things where if you work with that and you put that in, it's
Sure.
going to be a fucking banger.
Look at Tom Barnhart, for example.
Right.
Barnhart
exactly.
line black pastel.
Yeah.
That's the standard of black pastel now.
But if you look at almost any pastel Justin or Aussie cells, like it's a fucking, that's what pastel should look like.
I don't know how many those guys are,
So,
how many pastels those guys are
Yeah.
making anymore, but
Probably my example.
yeah,
Yeah.
They're quad heads.
yeah, exactly.
I was gonna say they're
right?
quad
Yeah.
One of many 3, 4,
Yeah.
5, 6, 7
Pets are
genes.
Yeah.
influencing that to make it
But-
look
but-
nicer.
But yeah, no, you work with quality stuff, you're gonna make quality stuff. It's just
Let's talk about one gene you like to avoid though. Like, is there any one
spider.
gene? Wait, other than spider, that's fucked up. Without anything, without a deformity. Okay, like let's talk about
Champagne.
one gene. Okay, I never heard that.
Not a champagne guy.
Champagne is very
Champagne is
strong.
It's too strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
too bubbly.
It's very overpowering.
Like there's
That
a
would-
few genes that you can add into it to change it up a bit, but it's still very overpowering.
It is. Like, I mean, we've seen some pretty cool champagne clown combos recently
Yeah.
over the last few years. The Enchi and Super Enchi and Leopard type of
Do
stuff
well
do
with
well
it.
with champagne. But for a long time, man, it was combo after combo after combo, and it was just a patternless snake. By 600 grams, they were almost patternless. And the whole like fun to this is like taking a pattern and like manipulating it.
Yeah.
But if you have a gene that just wipes the pattern out, it like just doesn't matter what I put to it. Now, obviously, that's not entirely true because there are genes that you can put into it to bring pattern into it.
Yeah.
But it just, my personal preference, it just never really was something that like I gravitated towards.
And here's the one thing I do love about the ball python game. For you to actually have knowledge like this and not have homies like this, only way you find this shit out is by fucking putting in the work and you breed it. Yeah. And you actually see for yourself, all right, I'm not going that route again. Yeah. But then again, here we're in an era where we can just kick with people like Will, we can kick with people like Khalil, like homie like Dean, and just fucking and Christian, and just gain this knowledge. Talk about me, Tristan. Tristan's hella new in the game. Not hella new, but how many? I mean, 3 years?
3 years. Yeah.
3 years.
3 years. Yeah.
He killed it on the new breed on the block series. So please go follow the homie Railway City.
Yep.
Reptiles. There's a generic one out there, isn't there?
Yeah, I think there's a Rail City Reptiles, but
never heard.
I'd say I'm the OG in that.
The one that matters, especially if you check out his golf game. By the way, you have a sick ass golf homie, by the way.
Yeah, he is good at golf.
We had an amazing time on the golf course. I'm a nine hole kind of guy.
Yeah, bro, we're like a 4-hole.
I was like, Khalil, have you heard the story of Bob Smith yet? No. Come on, let's go. And that was actually a good time.
We were then up to like 4 holes. Your face when we finished 9. And we're like, so there's only 9 left. You're like, what?
Dude,
we're not done?
Dude, this fucking guy, you never know when he's serious or not. And Will has a lot of jokes, you know? So I was like pretty sure we were at 19. And we're like, all right, we're done, right? And he's like, no, we're halfway. He said, we're halfway done.
MJ, you got to make sure you're prepared with some of the time-consuming stuff. You're just sitting around.
Honestly, but really, it was the best time. Though, what did we do? We kick it on a golf course with Will Moroz and the homies, driving around. And it was great. All I gotta say is respect to both of you guys, all your guys' golf game. You guys all hit the ball. Even Khalil smashed the shit out of the ball.
What time?
Even Matt Summers came through after a while.
I actually didn't know Christian
together.
would get out there golfing.
Oh, Christian was like,
I don't know. 24 years ago, I had golf.
Oh, really? Wow.
Christian all of a sudden,
a couple of them.
Christian gets on the phone to book a hotel, and then on the golf course, how bougie, right? And then on the phone, he hits it, fucking smacks it down the fairway. That was very player. Okay, let's talk about the growth of the ball python community within Canada. Do you feel like it's been going in a right direction? And what I mean is like more of a unity. Like you guys feel like you guys are here to represent each other, or do you feel like there's unfortunately some parts where it's kind of divided?
Sure, you're like anywhere you're gonna have division, right? You're just gonna have people that don't see eye to eye and people that don't agree.
Right.
But as a general rule, there's not a whole lot of drama or anything in Canada. Everyone pretty well gets along pretty well. You're gonna have individuals that don't see eye to eye, but
there was a time when I came in, it was all everybody hating on each other. Like I remember I would post stuff, and this guy Lucas, Chris Lucas would like rip me apart, make fun of me, make fun of myself. This was like an adult with children.
Where's he?
And what?
Where is he?
He's with Mike McGrath.
He's out. He's gone. Bob Smith. That's all you need to know, right? And it was like that at the beginning, and there was a lot of intimidation, a lot of misleading, and like I was buying stuff, like it just wasn't, right. Up until I met you. Well, Alex Barbeau helped me out, and then I met you, and this was before you had like your Patreon and like the community, but like you still kind of like took me in and mentored me, and then from there I met the right people, and then I think one thing. Look, there is a few people in the industry still in Canada that are like that. But one thing that you've done, Will, is to always bring people under your wing. And you've built this, like, the Canadian community kind of like everybody's helping everybody at this point, right? And the thing is, if you even want to think about hating, there's no space for it. It's just you're going to be ousted, like, right away if you even try, right?
Yeah.
So be on board with, helping everybody out and become this community. And just like the last show that I vended at, like, when you showed up, there was like 30 people with you, and then we went out for dinner. Like you know what I mean? Like
we're family.
And it just, you guys didn't even look at snakes. Like I remember, like, you know what I mean? Like it was just all about like just
being around each other.
Yeah, it was just about community. Same thing we did like this week, right? Like yesterday and all that. So I think that's super important. And it's growing. There's a lot of new people in this, but the thing is that all the new people, man, they're quality. Like
they are.
You know what I mean?
There's
like everybody
really
that I'm
people
meeting now,
this,
it's like, yo, you're doing this, And there's some people still out there that are,
never gonna get rid of them all, right? But
that's gonna be there.
It's just gonna be there.
I feel like it's up to that person to understand what their surroundings are, and if you feel like you are around people who don't want the best for you, you need to fucking make a change. You know what I mean? And I feel like all you guys are kind of after your guys' best interest. And if there was somebody who wasn't on the same page, it'd be easy to see. Because you guys are, you guys all met. You know what I mean? And I come from places where you always have that one or other person that just isn't like you know, it's not meshing what it should be, you know, and a lot of times you just fucking get out of that position, you know, and I feel like a lot of people who come into this new want support, like, and they almost latch onto shit that, dude, like, I don't even know if you're actually getting the respect you should get by, you know, latching onto the sport you have. So we're like, sometimes you should believe in yourself and believe what you have and just let your production do the talking. I mean, think about how you dipped out, right? Not knowing, and you didn't want any clout, you know? And so you came back naturally, just letting your work, you know, it's not like you came on being Mr. YouTube, hey, Mr. Influencer, look at me. You basically just started posting shit.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And that's all it took.
Let the animals speak for themselves, right?
And how easy was that after? I mean, like, obviously, I don't know how easy it was for you to want to wait through that time, but after it came to the fact that you having what you had to show to the people, how easy was that following to build? I mean, I feel like it came very organically, like on its own.
It was, you know, actually still helped me a lot with growing an Instagram page. I was just like posting stuff, and he's like, dude, do you know what a hashtag is? I'm like, sort of. What is it for? He's like, it's a search engine. This is how you work. And I didn't know any of that stuff. I was just kind of like, all right, cool, DG Clown.
Just post.
You know, just post it, and it just started to grow. And
why did Khalil know about hashtags? Sammer Atani. Sammer, you are missed. I love you.
You should have come this weekend.
Yeah, we'll catch Sammer next time. But honestly,
Sammer's
for sure bigger. Not bigger. I didn't say
Damn.
He's the 5 and 1.5. He's the 4. That's all I gotta say. Anyways, I will say, let's talk about that dynamic, man. You and your brother, bro. I mean, yeah, it must be nice to have homies like this, but you and your brother have a really solid foundation, like a brothership. You know what I mean? Like, it's not easy. Not, you know, listen, everyone fights with their family, but I feel like you guys have literally grown 514 Reptiles from the get-go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He relied on you to do shit. You rely on him to do shit. And you guys work together. You know what I mean? And I remember always kind of knowing the respect you had for your brother before I even met your brother. You know what I mean? You always kind of threw that out, that there was a partnership behind what you did, you know? But I'm just curious. I mean, did you ever feel like you needed more than what you had with your brother as far as wanting to get where you needed to get in a reptile game? Like, do you felt like you needed marketing in order to get some sort of respect or anything, or did you feel like you had the system down just working with your brother?
I mean, I've always felt comfortable with what I was doing, and with Sam's help and everything. I never felt like I needed more, just because I'm doing what I'm comfortable doing, and it was working for me. It still is working for me, you know.
But you made a lot of these reptile moves solely, like Sam's more behind the scenes. Like, your face is the one that's really known behind 514 Reptiles.
That's what I always thought.
100%. Look, Sam originally, like maybe 9 years ago, I went over to his place and he's like, yo, we're going to buy ball pythons. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, we're going to buy them. I didn't like snakes whatsoever. And he's like, we're going to buy ball pythons and we're going to breed them and we're going to sell them. I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, watch this. Puts on Brian Barczyk cutting a scaleless video, right? I'm like, this is pretty fucking cool. So then I go home. I start researching. I'm like, all these different color mutations and everything. I'm like, this is pretty cool. Like, I want to get into it. Just but I forget about it. 2 weeks later, I show up to his house and he has a spider and a pinstripe breeding in the tank. I was like, yo, what is this? You know? He's like, yeah, we're going to breed them. So then I was like, okay, we're going to do it. Then I got on Kijiji. I started going to all these shows. I remember Sam and his friends got up at like 2 a.m, drove to Ajax, Ontario, from Montreal to a random show. I couldn't go because I was working. And he messaged me like, yo, there's nothing at the show. Like, we just drove 5 hours for like no reason, you know? Came back home. And it was a hustle. But at the beginning, it was me, him, and his buddy. And we were splitting everything 3-way. And someone wasn't taking care of something. And then we all split up at some point. And then when me and Sam got back into it, like a few years later, he bought me a black pastel banana male for a birthday present. And I was like, yo, you want to do this again? He's like, yeah, let's do it. And he's like, but you do all the breathing, you buy the stuff. And it's like, I'll go 50-50 with you. Like, you want to buy this, I'll do it. I'll buy it with you. But you make the decision. No more like, you want to do this, you don't want to do this. It was just too many like issues, right?
It's either do it or don't.
Exactly. So he put all that trust in me and I just went with it. And then with the marketing, he's like, yo, you're supposed to put hashtags. I'm like, I'm not that old, but
in the 90s, man.
Yeah, exactly. 80s. I'm an 80s kid, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So online stuff, like even now, he's huge on YouTube and stuff. I mean, I'm like, I don't know how to do this stuff. It's not my thing. It's just he has a different like mindset on these things, right? So like, you got to do the hashtag. He explained to me everything that I explained to him, right? Like, I regurgitated everything back to Will, right? With the YouTube, he helps with all that, and he's always connected. Like, that's what he does for a living now, you know. So he's always connected with that, and he helps me out with everything. Yeah, and we have like that bond. We weren't always very close, but And then when we moved in together, the first 6 months was brutal. And then it was just fights all the time and stuff. And then we just like we gotta work.
You learn how to live with each other.
100%. And then we've grown like a very good bond, and we have respect for each other. Like even for a bad situation, I'm like, look, I'm not feeling good. Like, let's just give this a rest and we'll talk about it later. Like, I mean, human with emotions.
And you want to think about how age hits a human, right? Like, I'll never forget being in the wireless industry, right? And having to calm down a pissed off fucking elderly customer because he has to turn in his flip phone and get a smartphone. Like, it's that transition, right? Yeah. And I was like, why is he so mad about this? Like, this is the future. And I remember being so pumped up about it. I had my fucking PDA. I was like, why don't you want to do this? And then now here we are, and literally it pulls me teeth to remember to put fucking hashtag. I just don't care. Like,
where's this crypto now? What's this crypto? How do you buy this?
Like, what the fuck? But I just feel like as you get older, it's like certain things you just like. But then again, that's what slows you down, man. If you don't know how to adapt to change and don't know how to pick up on things, I mean, think about how a lot of motherfuckers you probably knew back in 2010 that aren't around no more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're the ones that kicked it and that stayed around, right? But it's not easy to stay relevant, bro. Like, you have to learn how to adapt.
It's actually very difficult.
It is.
Actually. And that's some of the guys who have managed to do it for a decade. It's like, and hats off to them, because it's not easy to pick a set of genes and know that that's going to work well. There's a lot of experimentation that kind of goes on there. And some of these guys just strike gold every time they try. But we kind of cheat. We cheat. We take what I know already looks good and then just layer on DG. It's,
4K that stuff.
Easy recipe.
Well,
Yeah.
What a formula.
Yeah, right? Just slack on DG and it's going to work.
Now, I want to talk about how you guys, I mean, if this is a thing as far as protecting the market. And when I say by protecting the market, like, you make something and it's priced a certain way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have some people who drop, let's just say, $20K on a snake, and then someone else goes to a show and gets it for like $6K, and then they're fucking pissed. Just saying, I don't know if that's ever happened, but
yeah, at the end of the day, if the project's good enough, then that person just got a great deal.
Yeah.
But the market will, that seller will realize, wait a second, that sold way too quickly. Like, that was, like, for example, if you took a DG clown, right? DG clowns for the last year or so have been around that 10,000 mark. If you took a DG clown and then somebody at a show put one for $2,500, sold instantly gone. That person making them for $2,500 cannot produce enough to supply the demand for the market.
Yeah.
That's how you know that's
10,000.
Exactly.
He's just an idiot for selling
he
it.
just didn't know, or just
mistake,
being an idiot. I don't, whatever. But there's no way he could produce enough of them to really damage things. Someone got to scream and deal on something, but the market goes on. It's not like a, one or two people like undercut everybody else for what, 3 days, and then just back to normal.
Are there malicious ways of doing that though? Like, do you feel like there are certain people who almost will do that just to be a dick?
Yeah, sure. But who cares?
I also think that the person that bought it for way more, that's worth it to them.
Right.
You know, make it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Not only that, but like, for example, okay, with certain amount of females or projects that you have, to me, I can go pick up a male for whether the price is like, let's say 6,000 or 20,000. Depending on who I am, that animal might still be worth $20,000 to me, because I'm gonna make insane stuff with it. I don't care that I paid 3 times that someone else paid, right?
Yeah.
But I got it, and
And it also might be the only one available.
There's a reason
sure.
why
And then-
that person paid $20,000 for that snake,
They
because
know,
they believe
it's
they
calculated.
know they can make more than $20,000
They got
from
the right stuff.
breeding it.
But the market just moves on from that. You can lowball a snake for, you can take a DG clown, you can list it for $1,000, and someone's going to buy it today. And realistically, that person probably is going to buy it and turn around and sell it for 10.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens all the time. So go ahead.
I mean,
Sell them cheap. You're just the only person you're really undercutting is yourself.
like, it's really, I think you kind of made a point of this, Will. It's really hard to say, like, how much will you really pay for a snake? Because it depends how important that snake really is.
That individual.
Because how
It
much
really depends on
potential
your collection,
right?
What does it fit right in? I mean,
So
a perfect mesh. Oh man, those are you could pay a lot for that, and still, Yeah, I mean,
That's a hard question.
can you
to answer, though,
overprice
right?
a snake? Absolutely.
Right.
Right? You can overprice one.
Yeah.
But is it overpriced to me? Is it overpriced to you? That's the totally different thing. It's for me, it might not work, but for you, it works. Like it's just a perfect mesh. Well, then it's right appropriately priced for you.
How many
But it's
times?
not for
How
me.
many times do you feel, Will, like you got overpriced?
That I have bought overpriced
like,
quite often,
and you just didn't give a shit.
pretty much.
Right. And do you feel like that it comes down to that sometimes? Like,
Yeah, it's the right animal. It's just gonna work.
right. Just especially if it's something that nobody really has. Like if it's
Well, that's the thing. If you're saying like, oh, it's a Enchi clown and it's $6,000. I mean,
right.
there's a gazillion options out there for Enchi clowns,
Right.
right? So that would be something that I would look. Oh, it seems a little crazy right now in today's market, right? But you say to me, I don't know, a DG hypo het puzzle. To me, I'm like,
priceless.
Yeah,
what do you want? You know, like let's make something happen. I don't know. It's
I mean, like that goes back to the Hurricane Clown Het DG that you bought last year. When you call me and you're like, "Hey, this is for sale. That's how much he's asking for it." To me, I'm like, holy shit, like that's a lot of money for that, you know? And then you're like, yeah, but I can do this with it. I can do this with it. Then I have this, and then I have this, and I have this. And you're like, okay, fuck it, I'm buying it. And now just look at your first clutch. What you like, then you see like it was such an easy, calculated, like, you know.
Honestly, that comes down to actually my dad a lot. I was actually with that animal more on the
Shout out to Big Al.
I was more on the like, man, that seems high on that. That's like, I don't know if that's the right call. And he just said like, write out 5 females that you'd breed it to. Yeah. I'm like, okay, let's go.
He said you should have got that super asphalt desert ghost.
Yeah, yeah, I should have got that too. But he said like, write out 5 females you breed it to and tell me if it's worth it. I was like, after the first female, I was like, yeah, it's worth it. What are we thinking? You know. So, and then we're arguing about like $3,000-$4,000, and the grand scheme of things, it ends up being nothing over because I'm not worried about what that animal will make me now. Right. It's not like what I'm going to take him and breed him and I'm going to take his babies and make money. That's not really the way I look at it. I want to know, when I take that male, breed it and raise its babies up, once they start breeding, that's when it starts to roll. Right. Like after that second gen, I don't really buy a male, feel like, oh man, I can make so much money with this male. We honestly don't even really look at the financial aspect majority of the time. Yeah. It's more like, man, look at the snakes that we can make with this male. Yeah, that's what I'm after. And then the money follows that.
What's crazy is how there's a certain level with these snakes purchases where I always thought females were the most expensive snake. Like you're always gonna pay more for a female, but that's not always the case with certain snakes.
Oh, you get into those powerhouse males.
The males are the fucking big ticket because they're gonna be able to go to work for you.
The males will be the highest ticket purchase ever. Yeah. Like you'll never spend. Well, I shouldn't say never, but the males will always, like your powerhouse males will always be your most expensive animals that you buy.
Right.
The ones that like kill you though is that like those females that are like that 5,000-6,000 range for like a really good female, 5,000-6,000. That's a really good animal.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I mean, as long as it's a genetically a good animal, you put anything for $6,000.
But what's a 50-60K animal? Like realistically, what's a 50-60K ball python?
DJ Xantha clown.
DG exactly clown.
DG, like, no problem.
DG clown pied.
We're talking no problem.
OD pastel, DG puzzle.
I'm gonna hang out with them more. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Like if you're looking at like a super OD DG clown puzzle, everything's gonna come out OD and triple.
Right.
So like you can ask what you want for it, really.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is with those like animals that when you get into those type of category prices, you can bitch about the price all you want, but find another one.
Right.
Yeah, really what it comes down to. And it's true, you know, like if a DG clown pied hit the market tomorrow, I almost guarantee you it'd sell for $50,000 as a male. Wow. I'll always be a guarantee.
DG
in fact,
clown pied, you said?
Desert Ghost clown pied. Yeah. A male Desert Ghost clown pied hits morph market tomorrow for $50,000. I'll bet you it's gone.
Yeah, instantly.
Before you get home.
Minutes.
Yeah.
To Will.
I
know you could use something like that.
But yeah, it's just, those type of animals, because that may be the only male that's available for the next 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Find another one.
Yeah.
Find even like the components really to make that.
I think people don't think about that part of it.
Yeah,
it's like, what is actually out there for that specific project or that 3 recessive combo, like it's hard to find half
Now,
that stuff. You might find it in a double, but
it still has to look good too, right?
Yeah.
Like I can give you a bunch of combos. You want to, I don't know. No offense to anybody working this, but I'm just pulling some jeans out of my head. Would I pay $50,000 for a Xanthic Hypo G-Stripe?
Well, that's my project, bro.
You know, would I pay that kind of money for that animal? I don't know. I haven't been convinced that is like a direction that I
But
really
if somebody
want to go.
out there thinks they should,
All the power to
do your fucking thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't bitch about it if it don't work out.
But look, realistically, hold on. That being
I'm
said,
pissed. You guys can go.
Yeah,
that being said, realistically speaking, there's just some projects that you shouldn't pay that much for based on what's been proven with those genetics, right? Like, you know, you're not gonna do an Xanthic. You're not gonna buy an Xanthic G-Stripe lavender albino for like 35 grand because it might take you 25 years to get your money back.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not. Look, all those projects are nice. I'm just saying those three together don't make sense, right? So
yeah, individually they make great
We've
stuff.
started to kind of figure out what we know will work well together. So
Right.
yeah.
You also have to take into consideration the demand of the market. Like if there's, 20 animals that you can easily make that triple visual that's on Morph Market, chances are that price isn't going to be $50,000 when you make that triple visual, because there's a chance that people are going to make them at the exact same time you are.
Yeah.
Whereas, for example, like you said, let's say a DG Hypo puzzle. How many people have the ingredients to make that triple visual?
Yeah.
Maybe three or four people.
Maybe a handful. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
But still,
chances of one of those popping up on the market.
Any of those people were to make one, there's no chance. There's no chance they'd sell it. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I wouldn't.
I
Unless they
agree.
made one last year.
Yeah. We haven't dropped that yet.
No.
Yeah, but you don't want to move something like that,
And like even just like you can work as hard as you want for that stuff, but you have to hit it with all the right genes you want, plus the sex of it. It's not just that easy to always get what you want.
Hitting the right. Everyone's always talking about the odds.
Odds, yeah.
And then there's two sets of odds.
Two sets, yeah.
There's the gene odds, and then there's the sex odds.
Yeah.
So
Because-
1 in 16 becomes 1 in 32.
It does.
Yeah.
Like
It
I
does.
Just
Yeah.
wanted to make some GHI had DGs 2 years in a row. I hit some, but they're freaking males.
They're all males.
Females. It's like, really? But it's just, like you said, there's 2 sets of odds that you got to work with and remember, because you might hit what you want, but it's a female.
I mean,
You got to wait a couple more years on that.
Can we agree that it all comes down to things just fucking being meant to be? I mean, at the end of the day, we're against a lot of odds if you look at it. Think about how many things cannot hatch right. Think about how many times a male isn't able to produce or a female goes down. Like, we're against a lot of fucking odds to begin with.
Mhm.
Some people just have the luck.
Yeah.
But why is that? I feel like because you're meant to be in this shit. I mean, at the end of the day, but then you understand, just because someone's killing it doesn't actually know that they actually missed a lot too. Like, how many misses come with the wins?
Yeah,
dude?
tons.
A lot.
Like we
Way
see-
more
Right.
misses than you have wins.
And one thing that Kabelka, and not against him, but he presents things like if all he gets is wins.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, it is kind of like, what the fuck? But you don't know the numbers behind everything
Well,
he's
that's
doing.
exactly.
And all the stuff that you're hitting between that.
There's a numbers thing associated with hitting odds.
But to be fair, Justin talks about that quite often. Like, his Suma was it Suma
Yeah,
project?
he missed
Suma
on like
fight.
60 something times.
Yeah.
He said.
He was like, I had like 60
Hold
eggs
on.
before I
Hold
hit
on.
one.
How many kinks, how many fucked up things he went through with the
Yeah.
Suma? That's a super cinnamon, right? And then he figured
No,
out
that's a super
Oh,
mahogany.
right.
Yeah.
But either way, there was a lot of red flags to stay away from working with the super, right?
Yeah.
For
Super
whatever reason. And like the was it the 8-ball or what was the one that the one that now this new one that he made, the Oreo snake, is now the one without the issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what he's done, I believe, was he took a Suma, and instead of going super black pastel, he's taking super mahogany and then one copy of black pastel.
pastels, yeah.
And that's giving you black. Right?
And it worked.
There's so many different ways to
Now add black it to that, see what happens.
Enchi in there, just bring.
Yeah.
Stupid. Now, why don't we kind of talk about, I mean, the reality of this, right? I mean, fuck, everyone should do it like Will. But at the end of the day, we don't need to do it like Will because how far advanced people are now, right? So now we're in a position where you got the money to play. All right, here we go. So what I'm saying is now people can get in a position, buy the snakes they need to buy, and then in 3-4 years, boom, they're fucking dropping crazy fucking heat. But what are some do's and don'ts for a newbie who's making heat like that? Like, in your opinion, what should they be aware about? Like, you know, now that you're this new up and coming breeder with all this fucking heat, what should you do with it?
Advertise it.
Yeah.
Advertise it. Market
Network.
yourself. Like
Network.
honestly, one of the things that I like love about shows, I like going and seeing what people have made. There's definitely an aspect to it, but those shows are about talking to people.
Right.
I want to go and meet someone new or make a new, you know, connection every time I go to a show. That's kind of a goal every time you go. Like,
And show up at 2 and sell to vendors that just made money.
Yeah.
Who said that? Was that you? Who said that? Will goes to
Will
all
shows up at 2 o'clock and then goes and sells sticks to us who have been vending all day.
Yeah.
Because he knows we've got money.
he looks at the tables. Wow, they sold out. Okay,
Yeah.
hey, you talking?
That's right. I got this bill.
You know, it's
That's why he's laughing. He's speechless. Look at the guy. He has nothing. He has nothing.
best business in the game.
Yeah.
Right there. He doesn't
RCR
have to pack
corner.
up any animals. It's beautiful.
Now, let me ask you this, Will. I mean, I want to put mad respect on your Patreon game, only because I have a lot of your Patreon members and they give you mad props. But how's it been taking over that load? It's not easy, bro. I know that because you got to give them what they need, which is the attention and the time. But when you have so many Patreon members, is it easy for you to delegate that?
Honestly, that's blown into something that I never anticipated. It was when it started, it was we just wanted it to be a small group of guys and all wanted to do it, and we
It's a family.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Which it is.
Yeah. But then it's turned into like
A big family.
a big one, right?
It's a
Like
mafia.
everyone's
Yeah,
everyone's
it's a
like
mafia.
repping each other. It's
True
just
that.
like if I don't have the answer to the question, somebody else has experienced that and has that answer. And like the whole Patreon is not like, hey, I pay to ask me a question. It's like, no, come and
Everyone.
be part of
Yeah.
everybody's.
Yeah.
Could-
Get everybody's input and
because-
knowledge.
Together, we know way more than I do, right? Like it's
Yeah.
I mean, well, think about how much you even start thinking and talking when you're around your homies, Will. Like, it's like your gears are already working.
you brainstorm, right? That's
Right.
like you talk about projects, talk about what's going to be good this year, what's what's on its way out. There's not I hate that, but there's certain things that like it blows my mind how many times that someone else brings a different perspective that I hadn't thought about, or
To a project or to a
exactly like,
to a
hey, what do you
team.
think this would do in this? I'm like, yo, like I had never even like contemplated
Yeah.
putting those genes together, but that sounds like a wicked idea.
Yeah.
Never contemplated a DG champagne?
No.
Not that one.
No.
No,
I thought it looked better than it does, though.
I mean, okay, if it's one thing also, like we were talking about earlier, is how much people want to be something as they see on YouTube and whatnot. And that's okay, right? It's good motivation. But I mean, what do you, if you have somebody who really wants to hurry up and get into breeding, I mean, do you shy them away from buying adult
Don't
breeders?
hurry up and get into breeding.
So, I mean, you shouldn't go starting after proven breeders and shit like that.
You can. There's nothing wrong with it. Just be smart about it.
Cautious.
Yeah, get it from somebody that you trust.
And don't buy 10 or 15.
I can tell you.
A couple.
Don't buy a
right?
collection.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. And
Oh,
then it
for
kinda
sure.
Backfires on them, right?
Well, I mean, let's think about this. These now new franchise deals that are people starting to do, right?
Yeah.
How sketchy is that? Like, okay, let's think about, hey man, I got this supporter in Delaware. Fucking, he's my boy. Never been to his place, but I'm gonna put $500K worth of snakes in his collection. Cool. All of a sudden, a guy from Delaware is getting a divorce.
Yeah.
He cannot take these animals. What are you gonna do? Let $500,000? So no, you have to take those animals back.
Yeah.
But what were they at?
Yeah.
So now you have, what are you gonna quarantine all these
Quarantine.
animals all over again?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure this franchising has happened already. Big breeders, here, take this, take that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And putting shit and then taking it back. Oh, you can't take all this? I'll take it back. That mixing and matching
not
is
good.
what is causing Nido. I'm just kidding. Relax, everyone, calm down. He said. But if you want to talk about how easy it is to not spread shit, what the fuck? Like, what are we thinking about here?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, is that the?
I mean, if it works for them, maybe they have a protocol in place to bring something back. Maybe they have the quarantine practices. I don't know the situation. I have no idea how they're handling that. We're not franchising at any time soon.
He's the In-N-Out burger, no franchise.
Yeah.
Like I've
Right?
seen it where people do try and jump in and they buy 10 adult females and then they have issues with feeding or
Or anything.
one shows up with an issue and It's like, you know what? It's better off buying a small group of younger stuff.
See what you do
work
with
it, learn about them,
Good.
see how they
dude,
react.
no question.
You're going to learn the most experience just from that.
No question.
Okay.
In fact, I would buying an animal, given the chance, I would take that animal out of the egg before it has eaten any meal for somebody.
Yeah.
Now, okay.
Yeah.
Do not say that you should start shipping snakes that have not eaten. No. Get your snakes well established.
Yeah.
But when I'm purchasing an animal, and if it were like, let's say you have something that I really wanted, I would actually rather come to your place, pick it right out of the egg. As soon as it comes out, maybe it's had its first shed and it comes back to my place. It has its entire life to get used to
to your setting.
it acclimates to my, and they almost act like my hatchlings.
Yeah.
Right? They do. And no, most people would tend to agree. Everyone who's hatched snakes, no snakes eat as good as the snakes that you hatch. Right? It's just the way it is.
it. What's the future hold with what's going to be attached to high-end snakes, you feel like? We talked about this.
Oh, man, I think we could get into lots. I mean, look, you buy a high-end dog, it comes with a stack of paperwork.
Fucking the whole X-rays, you see the fucking hips, all that shit.
Lineage of the parents.
You buy a, but right now, currently, you buy a high-end animal and you get a styrofoam box and a bag and maybe a sticker or a receipt.
Maybe a text back.
Or maybe a paper that says 7 days, no guarantee.
Yeah, I would like to see the industry head towards, maybe not all the time, but maybe all the time. You sell a snake and it's tested for viruses. It's tested for parasites. It's tested for that when you're putting out that kind of money that you're getting a healthy quality animal.
But then what does that reflect on your business by doing that? You're sitting here, I have nothing to fucking hide. I guarantee what I'm sending you is 100% healthy, and here's proven fact. Here's a piece of document showing that this $20,000 or $10,000 snake is Nido clean or IBD or whatever the fuck. Clean in general.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that shows that you're actually paying attention to your herd health.
Yeah. Because how easy it for somebody to come back and be like, hey motherfucker, you gave me Nido.
Oh,
yeah, and if you're not ready for that, what are you gonna say?
But the thing about that is the dog industry is way more advanced than the reptile industry. We don't have the infrastructure of doing this testing and availability.
But it doesn't mean we can't do it.
We will get there eventually, and I think we're just not.
Probably a good thing. I'd love to see a standardized breeding record, where people keep their records the same way and it's standardized across the board, so that when I buy if Tristan's bought a snake from Dean, then it can be like CDNB, so Canadian balls, 210106. I know it's
leave it, bro. Let him do his thing. He's okay. Just you do your thing, buddy.
I know that.
Look at this cat, right? Look at that. No, go back to the camera.
I'm like, I'm not.
I know that if I buy that snake from Tristan, that Dean produced it. It was 2022. He made it. It was his 6th clutch. And if I have any issues, I'm gonna call Dean. I'm gonna say, hey. Even if I didn't buy the snake from Dean, that standardization across the industry would be a huge step forward.
Everyone say hi to Sam. Hi, Sam.
Sam, what's up, bro? I think that would be a huge step forward to standardize the way that we do that.
I agree, and I think it would put a little bit more.
Problem is get everybody on board.
Professionalism.
Well, we can't. What's one thing this hobby could use? Higher standards, maybe. I mean, that ain't gonna hurt.
Be a little bit
no, not at all.
You know what I mean? And I just feel like it's gonna create great practices for all the new people coming in, Patreon members, motherfuckers. Okay, one thing that I remember, Will, I'll give you that. I think I saw it like a little after you, but one thing Will had, and then you gotta think, Will hardly sells snakes because how his game plan is. But the snakes you sold to, these motherfuckers got presentations. Like they got like I thought it was like a wedding invitation. Like
it was actually.
It was. Why did I get one?
You didn't buy it.
But anyways, like that kind of stuff made me think, well, you know what, man? I hope I get to that level where I want to represent my brand to where I invest. Like, I don't give a fuck how much this box costs. I don't care how much this envelope or whatever this extra little stuff. It matters to me because the customer matters. You know what I mean? And I mean, dude, think about how people feel when they take in that box.
Yeah. I wish we had been able to do it. I should have been doing that this year as well.
Right.
I was having a really hard time getting those full invitations made, and I wanted to keep it the same.
COVID.
But we've got a couple ideas that are coming here shortly. But I absolutely love the idea of like you get one first chance.
Was that something that you already knew you needed to do, or like did Pops help you out with that? Like, who helped you with the marketing on that?
That was more on my end. That was just something that it's just, man, we brought so many snakes in, and you open the box and it's just like a style. Every shipment looks the exact same. There's no like, you'd be lucky to get like a thank you note. When I send snakes out, I generally will go to the person who bought it. I'll go to their Instagram page. I'll scroll through what they're working on and be like, okay, I see, whether or not I put that much time into it originally to see why they bought the animal. Yeah. But then I'll go and see like, okay, they bought a Wookiee het clown and they have a GHI black pastel het clown at home. Like, hey, are you? I read a little note to them, like a personalized thing. Hey, is this boy going to that black pastel GHI question mark? Yeah. Let me know when those hats, I think that's key. Put that personalization into it. And that's one of the things I don't ever really want to lose is that, like, I don't want to ever go like big, like corporate almost. It just, I feel like you lose a little bit of that, like,
because that means you have to let go a little bit.
Yeah, it does. And you lose a little bit of that. Like, I want people to like call my phone and I answer the phone. Hey, what's up, man? How's it going? How are things? I like that.
Christian, you mentioned how, like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was you who mentioned that, like, the fact that you get to see your animals hands-on feels better about working with the animals versus, like, let's say if you had a worker and they're the ones looking at something, they don't even know what they're looking at. Like, they can see an ovulation and just like, I just here to change the water. Excuse me.
Or even like you start to see, you're changing your females' shavings or spot cleaning, whatever, changing water bowls, and I'm like, wow, she's glowing. Look, she's putting on some size, right? If you're not doing that yourself all the time, it's like, I know what to look for. Maybe the new guy doesn't, right? It's good to be there and see that yourself, and that's why
you said that when we were into the store. You're like, as much as it's
a lot of work,
an option to get somebody to help you do things, they will never love your collection as much as you do yourself.
No,
so there's always that little bit of separation, right?
Yep. Yep.
What about when it's time to separate a male from a female? And what I mean by that, how many males should actually go to a female? Like, I'm just curious. Like, what's the way of doing this without actually fucking like, holy shit, you're gonna probably kill this animal? I mean, I can only put up with so much. So
we go about 1 to 6.
1 to 6.
Yeah, one male to 6 females.
And it's
and other people, they do have different things that works for them. Great, that's awesome for them. We just feel like I couldn't. We've tried. I won't lie. We've tried to stretch a male to 10. It just doesn't work out. The males just stretch so thin. The females are going at different times throughout the year. Yeah. So if female A is laying in January and female B is laying in July, it means that male has been breeding from January to July, like basically nonstop. And
are you feeding your males weekly? Like, are you, and that's all around across the board as far as any male hatchling or.
We used to rely really heavily on the ultrasound, and this year have definitely used it, but have taken a step back from the ultrasound, and it was much more.
You took a step back.
Yeah, not relying on it as much.
Whoa.
Not relying on it as much. Just instead of, I wonder what she is, that's ultrasound. It's like, just look at it.
Watch this.
Like, what is it doing? Is that you need to learn, like, okay, this is why she. We were getting to the point now where it's like, that girl's like laying in the back with her half of her body inverted. Okay, she's going to be right around that 28 mil range. Oh, 27. Okay, cool. It just the ultrasound now is almost like reaffirming what you already know is happening.
You couldn't have learned that if you didn't have an ultrasound.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Just where we are now, we've kind of stepped back from using the ultrasound as much. We still have used it 4 or 5 times this season. We do a full ultrasound every about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But instead of trying to like time the male into the right female and all that sort of thing, it's more like 1 male to 6 females. And that gives you such a better variety. I don't think I have a male that I want 15 clutches from.
But you don't have every male going to every 6 girls. Like, I mean, there's some males that go to 6, but are your males going to 6 girls for the most part?
Oh, none are going to much more than 6. Maybe a couple going to 7.
Okay.
But never, we're not doing like 12, 13, nothing like that.
Right.
But do you have like 1 male going to like 2 girls, for example?
Yeah. Project specific things like, oh, that's a double het. These are double hets. I'm not going to take a double het and breed into something that's not related to. So that 1 male only goes to 2 females.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, we try not to go over 6. About 6 or 7 would be the and then our cutoff point.
And then in your guys' eyes, when is that time where like this male's done? Like meaning like
if he stops eating and starts to lose weight, just pull him.
So even 1 missed meal, pull him?
No, not 1 missed meal, because ball pythons, watch the snake. Like, that's the number one thing. It's not like, oh, he didn't eat. Oh, okay, I have to pull him. Well, not necessarily. Is he losing weight? Is he in good condition? Pick him up. Look at him. Yeah. Like, how does he look? Does he look good? Yeah, he looks fine. He looks solid. He looks healthy. Everything looks good. Okay, he's probably just fasting. It's a natural thing that they do during breeding season.
Yeah.
So everyone here's had a male that's gone off of food, but the difference is if the male starts to lose weight and like look skinny, you got to intervene there. You got to pull him out of that rotation because he will. Some of them will breed themselves right to death, man. They'll just keep breeding and breeding and breeding.
And that's why waiting until they're 800 or 900 grams instead of.
Yeah, I like 15 months on the.
Yeah, I want to drop something for you guys, and I feel like you told me this, and he fucking lying to me, so I'm just like, wow. But strategically, there's motherfucking breeders out there who could get their males to breeder size within 6 months.
You can,
and they're doing it, and there's no problem doing it.
Yeah, some of them can do it.
But that means
it's fine.
Not every male will do that, though. No matter how much.
Not every male, but it's possible, is what I'm saying. But like, should it be possible? I mean, like,
it's possible. Is it? I don't know, man. You can do it however you guys can breed however you want to breed.
What would be the downside, quote unquote downside?
When a young male starts to go off of food like that, they go downhill quickly. They can lose weight quickly.
I'd also like to see what the actual production is from that 6 months.
Like the sperm quality.
Looks like.
Yeah,
there's a difference between
eggs. Are you getting infertile eggs, slugs? Like, what are you dealing with out of that young of a male too? Right?
There's also the difference of you can get a snake to size all you want. Is it sexually mature? Is it producing sperm?
That's just it. Yeah. I really like the idea of letting the male go a full year. Yeah. We've got one of the best males that we've ever had available to us. With like mature, ready to breed, and we're like, no, hold off, push him into next season, start breeding him next January, and he's going to be a 1,200 gram virgin male that goes into the season and hopefully can give us 6 clutches.
Well, if you look at it, it's like you got a kid fresh out of elementary school or middle school, right? You don't want to put him against this banging ass fucking Pamela Anderson chick. Yeah. And then you have this college student, this fucking, you know what I mean? You have this stud. And you see kids at 18, they're like fucking men nowadays. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So are your chances better with that stud? Or is this kid a fucking freak of nature and you somehow can make it happen at 12?
Some of them can.
Probably the odd one out
there. But there's Nebraska corn-fed motherfuckers. Shout out to Brock Wagner. I think he's one of them, actually. But okay, one of the biggest thing I want to talk to you guys about is, obviously you guys are loyal to each other, man. I feel like you guys protect what you guys have, and I feel like that's important. I feel like not a lot of people speak up when they should, but when should someone really actually say something when it comes down to, let's just say, getting fucked over? I mean, some people have and this is okay because some people want this so bad where they'd rather just not say anything. They're just like, you know what? The fuck? Who am I to this big monster, this big fucking person in the game? I'm just gonna shut up. But honestly, that eventually that person sometimes just goes away, and I feel like we lose good people like that.
You do.
At what point do you guys feel like someone should fucking step up and not really make a scene and go to FBI Facebook and fucking threaten to go to PETA? I'm not at none of that, but I'm saying, when should you go to your friends? When should you go to somebody and ask, like, hey, is this right or wrong? Can I get support?
Go to your friend group right away. Yeah. If it happened right away, I'd get an opinion from
or your local Patreon community.
Yeah. I would go to those right away and say, like, hey, this is the situation. This is what's happened. And what do you guys think? What's your opinion on this?
I mean, Tristan, you're the most freshest guy I feel like in this group right now. Do you have any worries? I mean, are you have you had any bad taste in your mouth since you've been in here?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been in 3 years. I've been burned once. I mean, not burned completely, but I had a bad experience with someone that's fairly big in the industry. For me, yeah, I had a bad experience. I'm not going to go around telling the whole community that I had a bad experience with this person, because that's not who I am per se. But yeah, all these guys know exactly what I'm talking about. I've had a bad experience, but that just deters me from purchasing from this person moving forward.
Because you vote with that dollar, man. I mean, that's how you how you back that person up, by paying them.
Yeah. Exactly. Every person in this community like that wants to go big or they're putting high dollars. They're putting their hard-earned money up front to you. They're giving it to you. They're putting their trust in you. If you screw them over, you're not going to see a red cent from them ever again.
Right.
Yeah.
So, in those situations, you can sell me something, but so can Khalil, so can Will, so can Christian, so can Dean. Why would I buy something from you when I can just go to one of you guys.
And that's kind of what I like about groups or people like this is like, even though, let's say Christian has something I want and I talk to Khalil about it, Khalil will be honest with me whether or not is that actually going to work for you, or are you just wanting to buy it because you like it kind of thing, right? So like, well, they'll give you the honest opinion, and where that I think is leading us is in the right direction. So even though I watched Tristan go through a few things, he came and shopped at my pet store to buy his rats in the very beginning, and I seen him go through stuff not eating from somebody or just this and that, and you just work with them. That person will build a comfortability with you, and that's just going to push everything forward, right?
I don't think you remember this story, Will, because goddamn, I think we were pretty trashed that night. This is no, I'm pretty sure. No, I think this was the Tinley, not the Tinley. It was supposed to be Tinley, but it's Chicago, Michigan, right?
Yeah.
I ended up going. I remember how tired I was. I was sleep deprived. And I wanted to hang out with you guys, but you guys kept it going. And you're at some hotel, and you're with some of my Patreon members, Josh and Krista. Okay, and they were so like, and, you know, God bless them, man. They're very passionate, but they knew they had Will Moroz right in front of them. So Josh told me he went in for like 45 minutes telling Will his plans, everything. And as soon as he got quiet, Will was like, that's a fucking terrible idea. I wouldn't do any of that. I won't do it. Right? And like it was like, but it like honestly, they took that like how they should have. Yeah. And you spoke for another hour. Like you gave them your explanation, and you were just 100% real with them, bro. And like I feel like that's
they're funny. They're great guys.
So I think that's what's good with Will. Is he'll say no, but he'll explain to you why.
There's a reason behind it.
Why would you go like Khalil says? Yeah, I want to work blackhead spiders moving forward.
Yeah.
Do you think I'm gonna go and tell him that's a great idea, Khalil?
Yeah,
go right ahead. No, I'm gonna say that's a shit idea.
Pursue that.
I'm sure people have good ideas, but then again, like a lot of people's heads are in the gutter, and they haven't been where like what he's been through. So. I'm sure they had good intentions, but whatever they heard inspired the shit out of them. Like that changed everything that they were gonna do. Good, and they love it to this day. I mean,
and I follow them on Instagram, and they're picking up some really cool stuff, and they're working with some cool stuff. They're doing well.
Yeah,
I just, you know, at the time I was like, I wouldn't do that. You know, like. Just didn't.
I think it was like 4 a.m. too, and you guys you're gonna get the realest of the realest at that point. Yeah. I mean, with that being said, man, let's kind of talk about, you know, people aren't always this lucky. Not everyone has fucking people they could just, you know, let's go to Will's 2 hours away. Fucking no big deal, right? You know, it's a lot difficult for people. So, I mean, when people, you know, you talked about collaborations are important at some point. You do need to have some sort of mentorship or partnership. Right?
Absolutely.
But, you know, for instance, back to you, Tristan, what would be a good way for somebody new into this to do that? Like, I mean, what are ways you approach certain people that you never spoken to, you have no idea who they were, and you're trying to reach for, you know, some, you know.
Yeah. So, I mean, I did that with all of these guys per se. And that's kind of how we all kind of got a little bit closer in a way. Is the first person I had reached out to was Dean, and he mentored me through, you know, starting with the right animals, starting with females, going from there, and then getting your males later on. So I kind of skipped that hurdle that a lot of people go through. And then when I started to try to invest a little bit more money, I had guys like Chris Towers helping me out, picking the right. Yeah, Chris Towers is a great guy as well. Yeah, he helped me make my first big purchase. And then, you know, I went to Khalil. I messaged Will. And I was like, hey, I wanted into puzzle. So I saw that he had some puzzle stuff hatching out. So I reached out to him. Can I come look at some stuff? I want to make a purchase. Yeah, no problem. Make the drive up. I'm free pretty much, you know, any weekend. You just let me know. Reach out to him. Can I come up this day? Yeah, absolutely. Come. I spent probably 5-6 hours going through the collection, showing me everything, kind of guiding me to make that.
That ain't shit.
Just confirming that you are going to be a puzzle guy. He's like, stuff right now.
But okay, you know, do you kind of know what kind of guy you really want to be in this already, or do you feel like you're still figuring that out?
just myself, you know. I think that's how everyone should be, is just like work your own brand. You don't have to be somebody that you're not and try to like, I'm not going to be ever as personable as MJ, or I'm never going to be as, you know, wise as Will per se, but
I'll never be a golfer like Tristan.
But
I say, yeah, that's fucked up.
He's like, oh, yeah, no way. You're not.
Hit the links, bro. But yeah, you just got to be yourself, and that's why people are attracted to, or drawn to hang out with you, or, you know, chat with you, interact with you. It's all about, you know, being yourself. Don't be anybody that you're not supposed to be, because people can spot that. Like, if they can see you're being fake, why would they want to hang around with you? Because clearly you're not being yourself. You're just trying to be somebody you're not. And if you're not meant to be in this, you're not meant to be in it. Like, you can't make yourself be someone you're not supposed to be.
You can't force the stars to align.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It comes down to having good odds. You know? I'm just telling you, man, if you hit, you hit. Don't get mad because you hit. You know what I'm saying? But if you guys were to take it like this, I mean, for anyone out there who's basically in a position, what was it say? Breed on a budget. You know what I mean? Because I came in this shit poor as fuck. You know, but there were certain moves I made to get what I needed to get. But what are some good introductional recessive projects maybe that you could possibly get your feet wet with without having to be poor? I mean, I don't know. I mean, and I'm gonna kiss what you're talking about. That's a hard question. So
Hypo, like I think that's a great one to if you're breeding. But at the end of the day, it's all what you prefer in terms of projects. Like, you can't just, hypo, that's what he said, just I'm gonna go buy hypo. No, you have to enjoy what you're making. You have to have that inspiration when you look at that animal. Okay, what am I going to do with this animal in particular to make it look better, or, you know, make it look different and just as good as this one that I've purchased. For me, you know, a good entry level recessive project would be, you know, again, for me personally, would be hypo. Like, that's a relatively cheap starting recessive that does a lot to different combos. It does a lot. Yeah, exactly. For sure.
Like, for me, sorry to interrupt you, but for me, running a pet store, dealing with a lot of people that are getting new into this, the first ones that come to me are pied and clown. They're always the first ones.
Of course. Pied is,
pied is just, my wife likes this.
You look at it and you're like, whoa, look at that thing.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. So I would say it's probably different everywhere you go, because there's going to be more popular recessives somewhere than, like, you go to Will's, it's DG puzzle. You come to my house, just clown. Go to Tristan's, you got a little bit of tri-stripe or puzzle. So it almost can be different in every way. What one is going to be the most affordable? It also depends on if you're looking at a single gene recessive or
I think you could still get in
a hypo chocolate.
You can do it. Take a long road, right? If a budget is the issue, there's definitely ways to get into projects that you want to be in. Like, let's say you're like, I really want into like the sunset project, but I just cannot swing a visual sunset, right? It's just not going to happen. But I do have some females at home. I have a little like group of girls I can breed. Yeah. Well, a combo het sunset male you can get for fairly reasonable right now. Yeah. And you can take that male and make your own POS hets. You keep the one that's 100% het that you bought. You raise up your girls, and you are going to have some that prove out. Now, it is a hoarding game that way. Yeah. It is like, I'm keeping all the girls, and I'm going to figure out which ones are het.
Where to put them.
But that is a way into that. Those are way into projects that you otherwise didn't have the funds to do.
Like, even for me to get into clown, I literally just bought a pastel leopard from MARC Mander. 6 months later, he messaged me and said, hey, his dad proved out clown. So I kept a female from the first pairing I did with him. I bred them back together, and I hit 3 visuals of it. That's what triggered my clown obsession. Like, and it was just from a POS hat. Right?
You can do like honestly, this entire, almost not the entire market, but you can do like a line graph, and on this axis you'd have this axis would be money, and the bottom axis would be time. And the line would just start high and go low
to time,
because the shorter the amount of time, the more amount of money it's going to cost to get into a specific thing quickly. The longer you push it out, the less money you have to shell out, right? Really, when we buy a lot of these animals, we're buying time.
Yep.
Right? That's at the end of the day, when you buy a DG clown, you could go out and make your own.
Yeah.
You could.
I was thinking about this, right? Like, you showed me just a single pastel DG today, and I was fucking blown away on just how a 2 gene snake could look like that, right?
Right.
But I feel like that's all you fucking need. Buy from somebody who has stupid quality.
Yeah.
You know, and then honestly, here's the thing. This is why a lot of you motherfuckers need to take advantage of this, because these people who are selling pos heads, and you know it's from somebody who's who more likely, you know, that's going to prove out, right? Take advantage and buy that shit.
Sure.
You know, if you know, I scratch my head because you know you have those fucking those reach arounders on Morph Market. Oh, you know do you have a female of this? No, but I have 100% het female. I'm good. Pass. What? Like, okay, like you're about to spend $4K on this visual, but you don't want to buy this for $800.
Yeah.
That's like why? To me, I'm like, don't sell that idiot. Keep that money or keep that snake, and then make whatever you can make off that snake. You know what I'm saying? But we're in a time where a lot of people aren't going to be selling their heads.
Yeah.
Like we are and that's and if you want to talk about trying to come in here on a budget, you better find those fucking heads.
Yeah.
And you know, Miguel said the best. You buy cool shit.
Yeah, man.
You breed cool shit. You sell cool shit.
That's it.
And that's all it comes down to.
Yeah. Ozzy's saying, "Shut up and breed."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shut up,
That's it, man. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Now, okay. I'm gonna be out there and say it. Sunset, hot or not?
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I have some people saying, "Well, what a fucking joke that was," and then you have some people saying, "Nah, give it a second. Sunset is gonna be as hot as it is," and I want to hear what you guys think of that.
I don't see it myself personally,
Thank
but
you,
I
Dean.
haven't looked into it at all. So what I've seen, like for what I've seen being produced, it has not made me go like, oh damn. But when you think of like Will having one and making it DG or a Sunset puzzle, who knows what the hell that's going to look like?
Oh, what about you coming new and wanting to invest in Sunset? What do you feel
myself? When I saw the first Sunset, I wasn't very impressed. Just the base morph. I saw it in person, but then I saw Brad Boa make the yellow belly combo Sunsets, and I was like, okay, that's changing my mind a little bit. But I think it's it's again like one of those combos where the base form maybe isn't that nut. Like nobody's like, wow, a base gene clown is the coolest thing out there. Not necessarily. Hypo, not the craziest thing by itself, but you add in Cypress Mojave Hypo, those things are pretty sweet. There's no doubt about it. And I think it's just one of those recessives where you just got to throw the right stuff into it, and you're looking at some crazy combos.
It's kind of the same way I think with Monsoon. Monsoon, it's a cool aspect, but what is going to actually tinker with that pattern?
See it?
Right.
Right? Like, yeah, we can do color palettes with it. I'm sure a Monsoon DG would be insane, but I want to see that pattern being tweaked a little bit.
What have you
kind of back to the champagne? Right?
I'm not. I've seen like a Monsoon, but I mean, I feel like Monsoon hasn't done it for me yet.
That's going to dominate.
Especially with Special and Leopard, it's not doing anything with those two.
Right.
Like, what else is going to really tinker with that?
That's all. I'm just
Monsoon
curious.
Clown is pretty badass, but
Who has that?
The Moray?
Monsoon Clown,
Roland.
what's his face?
He made the fire Moray clown.
Moray, yeah.
She was the
Irish Reptiles.
What is Moray?
Moray.
It's the European
compatible.
Monsoon.
Yeah, they've been proven compatible.
Now, how would you guys say Europeans line compared to like let's see even America's line? I mean, because there are like shit like Cosmos and stuff out there that is not even really in America yet. I mean, but do you feel like no, they are not really though? Like, you know what I'm saying, they're not like a couple people have them. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is like, do you feel like there's a lot of shit even over there yet that can change everything that we have going on here?
Yeah. The crazy thing about this market is you can introduce one gene and change the whole game.
Yeah,
that's all it takes.
Yeah. Right? One new gene comes out, it's like, oh my god. And it can do something with something that we had completely forgot about, like champagne.
Yeah.
Champagne, right? Maybe champagne. Maybe there's a gene that comes out that makes champagne blue. Yeah. I don't know, but it's possible. And if it does that, then maybe I'll get a champagne.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know.
And new genes are popping up all the time, all the time. But now some aren't that crazy.
New stuff comes out, and honestly, a lot of new stuff is popping out of collections too.
Yeah.
Stuff that's hidden that you didn't know about. There's the line breeding aspect of things. There's
Okay, so if we were to eliminate the formula you have, right? Because obviously you have that shit that you sat on and you worked with for years. But for somebody who's brand new into this, like say Tristan's in this, and he comes across a new gene, a gene that's never been tapped in. Let's call it a codon, right? How should that be worked into? Like meaning like, okay, he has DG shit, he has clown shit, he has fucking whatever the fuck. What should he put that new gene into to make it easier for him to have an idea what the fuck he's working with?
Oh, okay. So that's actually a really good question. So when you if I were to take a new gene and I was going to put it into something to see if you could get a reaction from it, there's like 4 genes that I would go right off the bat. It'd be yellow belly complex, it'd be bell complex, it would be mahogany type complex, and then probably into that black pastel type of thing. Look at this cat.
By the way, one of the hardest podcasts is like cheers to all you guys.
Cheers, guys.
Al's right here. This is just nuts right now. Okay.
But those group of genes generally are like they all have like allelic tendencies and stuff like that. So like if it's gonna do something like really crazy, generally it'll do something with one of them. You'll get a big reaction with either yellow belly, mahogany, or like a black pastel. Right? You're gonna get those type of reactions. That's where I would go if I were to bring in something that I didn't know what it was, like an import. It's like, okay, I have this import male. What would I do to make this? How do I see if this is like a thing to pursue?
Well, I'm basically talking about my situation. Cleo knows about this. I have one of fucking Byram's Zuwadis. I have a sick ass Zuwadi female, Zuwadi possible vanilla, and you know, I do have a clown Enchi being paired to her right now, but I don't know if that was the right move. I don't know if I
can't go wrong.
Should I go with a higher banger clown or I just don't want to confuse myself. Basically, I don't want to throw a bunch of shit into something I can't ID it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean that's the only way you're gonna learn. So just by doing it, and then stuff's gonna come out. You can ask other people working with it, and then you can be like, "I'm not sure what this is." I have stuff that has question marks on the tag.
But for sure, that's something where you keep it all. Like you hold that whole clutch back.
But that's actually I wanted to bring that up. Sometimes it's okay not to be selfish in these situations, especially like if it's like, for example, I'm working with the Sentinel gene, right? I'm not gonna say like, oh, I want to hoard everything and I want to make the best. Like, no, I'm like, hey, Will, you want to work with Sentinel? Take some of this stuff. Here's a mail. Here's this. Like, work with it. Tristan, you want to work with Sentinel? Yeah, have the space. Okay, here you go. But work with it because I want to see what he can make. Because his collection is different. Christian's collection is different. Will's collection is different. Everybody's collection is different. So, like, if you can try to share also some of these genes to develop it more, so you have a better understanding of the gene itself, right? And we can develop it faster, really figure out where this gene is going, you know? But whatever you breed, like the Zuwadi to, is there's no, I mean, like, unless you breed it to like Champagne or Spider, but else or G-Strike. But else than that, you're good. Whatever it is you're gonna breed it to, breed it. And then he's like, oh shit, okay, this is crazy. You're never going to know what it's going to make until you do it. And you're like, holy shit, you know? Right. Like red stripes. Bro, people can get rid of red stripes. Like, I know a guy that was buying one for $200, and then Justin came up with the red stripe clown. The guy called him back. He's like, hey, by the way, I want $1,500 for that same snake now. Like the same day. Yeah, it wasn't cool on the other guy's part to do it, but it happened, you know? You never know when that one gene is just going to like blow up, and it's just like, oh shit, you know?
All it takes is one combo at the end of the day.
But that comes down to somebody like seeing, like, that comes down to somebody like taking that gene and like putting it under their wing and be like, I'm going to run with this thing. I see potential in it. Yeah. I want to like develop this. Yeah. There's a lot of guys out there, majority really, I feel like, see a combo and then they go, okay, I want to make that combo.
Right.
And I think that's the wrong mindset. Yeah. I think you should look at the combo and go like, okay, what can I add to this to make this better or improve on this platform? And that's how we approach, you know, most of it just DG it, right? But it's take what you really like, take inspiration from other people. Like, you know, for example, that chocolate spot nose clown. I was like, what? That thing's insane. That first Dark Knight, I was just like, this is no way. This is something new. Yeah. But now the fact it's allelic. So now it becomes extreme, like a little bit trickier to navigate how to really make that better. But now you have to, okay, if I want to make a DG version of that, I need at least a spot nose DG het clown. Yeah. Or a spot nose double head, and then on the other side, I need a chocolate DG het clown or chocolate clown het DG. And that is I looked at that snake and instantly for me, I was like, dude, DG, obviously, no question. It's like super rich contrast already. DG just makes that explode. Like it just pops everything. So if you're working with something like, let's say Cypress is like really your thing, and you see a really nice combo, think about what have you learned from working with Cypress and how would it apply into that animal, right? I know there are certain things that I don't want a DG, right? I know that. I got like some of the, like a crystal, for example. It's so light. There's not enough contrast points on it. It's a gorgeous animal in its own right, but I don't want to take a crystal and DG it. I would put something else into the crystal.
What the fuck's a crystal?
It's
Never heard of a crystal.
Special
Mojave.
Mojave.
Yeah. And then I was at Justin's and busted out a pixel. What the fuck is a pixel? I mean, I saw what a pixel looks like, but it's never ended. Like you said, these things just keep popping out of right field.
One new gene comes into the play, and all of a sudden
That's why it'll never get old.
An infinite amount of combos, right?
And that's why I feel like you should never fear about what you should get into. Just go find what you like.
So
that's the most important.
Use your fucking eye. Use your head. Eye equals head. There you go.
Well, guaranteed you're not the only person that likes that combo.
Right.
Yeah.
Or that's
Right. Guaranteed.
Right.
But how many things are there to like? So mix them up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Find,
Infinite.
find
Infinite.
a fucking pattern. You know what I'm saying?
Infinite.
But more importantly, guys, I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like not everyone, like I saw Will's collection, right? And I was like, oh my God, I've never seen a collection so influenced by maybe one or two genes, right? Powerful thing. But then again, Will, different breed, different. He's not your typical breeder. He came in differently, right? So what I'm saying is, I don't feel like anyone should come into this game thinking I should only have a collection that has all DG in it. I feel like some people could have high-end stuff and then even have some of that mid-grade stuff that's gonna sell for sure. And what I'm saying is, like, some of those super GHI bangers that sell for $1,000 off the shelf, or some of those Bell Complex. Do you guys feel like you guys should have at least some mediocre game that will always sell off the shelf? Or for you guys, do you feel like that's not even worth taking up space for? Are you all in on the high-end shit?
I still make blue-eyed Lucy's.
Yeah, for me too.
Because I know they
I fucking
sell.
love them. They're gone. Instagram models love them. For sure.
Working in a pet store, I got to do
Right, you're in the pet industry.
full range stuff. So like, I sell. I would say every single OD combo I bring into my store, I sell in a heartbeat because I've been working at that project for so long and I'm so passionate about it.
But what are those being sold in your pet shop? I'm curious.
Anywhere from, I'd say $200 for a regular just OD, just nice standard OD, up to $1,500.
Right.
Right. So it's.
Do you sell a lot of $1,500 sticks in your pet store?
Yeah, fair amount.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say I sold more through my pet store than I have through my Instagram and Facebook.
So typical pet store in San Diego, you walk through. If it's anything like a pastel, it's called a fancy snake.
Yeah, I'm not
Fancy
like
ball,
that.
or fancy ball, and it's
Yeah.
a 175, 185.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's just a pastel. Like
Yeah.
it's rare you walk in and you see something that's like, whoa, what is that? You know
Yeah,
what I
like-
mean? The best is a bells, I think.
Like I'm not trying to like my boss Andrew that runs our store and owns it. He did well establishing us in reptiles. I just did well in pushing ball pythons forward.
Right.
So I have people that will come 2-3 hours away still just to come into the store to see what I have. And then they question me, like, where's that stuff you put on Instagram? And I'm like, well, that doesn't hit to the store. Like, that's either my holdbacks or I bring to expos or whatever. So I would say, yeah, you kind of, like, for me anyways, I need the multiple different platforms. I need to work with some pets in there. I need to get some visuals in there. And then I just need 4 or 5 gene bangers.
So for somebody like you who's tapped into the pet industry, and I know you're not from America, but we have these major corporations, Petco, PetSmart,
Yeah.
who don't give a fuck about US
Shit.
art, right? I mean, how does that make you feel? I mean, for you, like, don't you feel like that's kind of like weird how that works? Because pets is what drives this industry.
Oh,
You know what I
big
mean?
Big time. And I do find there is a disadvantage here in even just Ontario because people know PetSmart. They
Right.
see commercials, they hear radio ads, so they resort to PetSmart and
Automatically.
then they buy that fancy ball python and then they come to me with questions and
Whole lot of mites.
then just issues like that,
Right.
straight up. And then next thing you know, that customer has become one of mine. They have 4 or 5 snakes. I've helped them build it up. And I don't care if they buy all the snakes from me, but I want to direct them in the right way to do it. Don't go to a PetSmart. Don't go to a Petco. Like, there's so many outlets out there to deal with good people. Why not buy the best quality for your price point, opposed to going to a PetSmart or a Petco or whatever it is.
But then again, here's the thing, though. The reason why I'm kind of like irritated with these Petcos and PetSmarts because there actually are legit pet stores out there, but there aren't a lot of them. Let me just say that there's not, but there are a couple in my area, like Pet Kingdom, who've been around since like the late 80s. Who literally, you can go and get a green tree monitor from. You're like, wow, you're gonna have a good experience.
Same type of shit
And they have US art collateral at their fucking desk and at their, I've walked into certain pet stores like, no, we don't want to put this up. I'm like, what?
That's what I think we need more of as a family brand or a
mom and pop
type in pet stores. Support the actual community, and that's what I do through my store. That was my biggest outlet. Like Will, I still laugh when you called me, like, you didn't call me something, but you made fun of me a fair bit because I never shipped a snake before. And you're like, you fucking have this and you've never shipped an animal. I'm like, I've never needed to, man. This is my first time. So I sent one out to BC. It was my first experience. And now I'm excited to do more of them, right?
Yeah.
But I never had to ship an animal. That was my very first one. So
I take a bit of a different approach when it comes to making like pet type of stuff.
It's a whole different ballgame.
I look at the pairings, like I always want to we're always trying to put something together that we can improve. Right? We push our projects forward. Our projects are always coming first. Right? We don't ever, literally ever, I don't think we ever, literally ever once ever have taken snakes and go like, well, I can put these together because I know I can sell the babies.
Yeah. Right.
Not once. It's much more like I'm putting these snakes together because there's a chance I'm looking for this gene set in a male. If I don't hit that specific gene set in a male, then the whole clutch is for sale. But I'm always trying to hit that something in that clutch for us.
Yeah,
and
I would say that's actually a really good way to look at it, because even though I'm doing these pairings where
you're going to make
seven
type stuff as like offshoots of what you're trying to make.
It's all the in-between stuff.
Right? There's tons of genes that play in certain stuff. And yeah, we can make bells this year. If I make bells, then I sell them I move them to pet stores. Yeah. But if in that same pairing, I might hit the
what you
specific female that I was really trying to put those genes together, and that's what we end up with, right?
Well, how do you guys feel about, like, let's say you guys are on the position where you have let's go to the top. Let's say you have an Exantic DG pie, fucking that 50K snake, right?
Okay.
And then you have this fucking Instagram model or Instagram influencer, whatever the fuck. They're influenced by the social media and they got that money. And they're like, yo, I don't breed. I don't give a fuck. I just want that snake. Let me get that snake. How are you guys going to approach that? Like, or how do you feel about putting a snake like that in the hands of somebody who just doesn't want to breed it?
Personally, I'd say get in line.
No.
You're not. Yeah.
You said that's so calm.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. No.
I'd say get in line, because there's guys who have been following our business for that long and wanting into that type of project that are equally have the same amount of funds available to them. And that's, I don't know. We sold a snake to Danny Green. He was on the Toronto Raptors on the LA. I think he's on the King or basketball team is. But it just was just like, dude, the guy like basically killed the fucking snake. Yeah. Like he just didn't like it was. He sent me pictures of it like 3 weeks later. I'm like, what did you do, man? It's on Aspen, blasting light on it, and I was just like, whoa. And I was just like, it just kind of, to me, I was just like look, man, this is
not because they're an influencer or anything like that. That means they're not going to take care of it well.
No,
but odds are, based on odds, those people, like some of the big YouTubers and whatever, they come in and they buy some stuff. Odds are they're way too busy to be taking care of this. And I know the YouTube money. I know what it is, especially for those guys. Dude, this is really nothing for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like buying a $50,000 snake is one YouTube video's ad revenue. Like that's all it is, right? So do you really want to do it for the long run, or do you want to do it because it's cool right now and you want to post it a few hundred stories? But not only that, first of all, if it's even available, a snake like that won't be available for sale for a very long time. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
When it's available, I want it to go to another breeder that's going to develop that project further.
Continue it.
I want to see what you can do. Yo, I'm only limited to this many clutches a year. I want to see what Will do with this project. I want to see what Christian does with the project. Like anybody, I want to see this project really advance.
On top of that,
I'll show you what we can do.
Sorry,
you sell that snake to an
Yeah.
influencer. Sorry, you guys sell that snake to an influencer. Will really wanted that snake. Do you think Will's gonna be very generous to me moving forward?
Yeah,
absolutely not.
And is the influencer going to come back?
No,
Right.
exactly. So you're straining your relationships with other breeders because you've decided to sell a
But
snake.
what if all you have knocking on your door is an influencer?
Then
Like,
sell
what-
it.
Then yeah, absolutely sell it. Yeah, like that's the case.
Like, it's ill.
Well, it's not going anywhere. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna have
Yeah,
$10
like,
check
buy
for it.
knock on my door. I'm like,
here's
nah,
a
dude.
$25 snake, but if it's something like that rare just because they want it, no.
All right, well, check it out. Listen, we have about 15 minutes left, and I have one little round bit of questions before the last wrap-up question, and I want, because this guy's really missed. We were actually supposed to be at this guy's backyard. Mark Mandick, shout out to the homie. Mark, appreciate you, miss you.
Hi, Mark.
What's up, Mark?
I want to hear what your guys' most memorable Mark Mandick story is. Something that you guys remember of Mark, and that's kind of always hit home with you, and you guys take with you today. So, Christian, what's one of your favorite Mark Mandick stories? I'm curious.
First time I went to Mark's house, I bought an Ultramel. Didn't have DG. Ultramel and a toffee and a double het toffee pied male, and got the full tour. Couldn't have been nicer. I always look up to Mark. Like, I learned how to breed ball pythons on Mark's website.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
Crazy to hear.
Now I'm
Christian's
standing.
talking
Still a crazy resource. Ballpython.ca.
Yeah.
Wow.
I still forward. How do you breed ball pythons? Here, go to Mark's website and learn like I did.
Right.
Yeah.
Still
That is
forward
iconic.
that information all the time. So gave us the full tour, gave us a couple of shirts. Me and my buddy Doug Kruger, shout out to DNC Metamorphs,
Nice.
and came home with 3 snakes. I didn't tell my wife about it, and I
be all right.
still have offspring from those, and it's just been the foundation of my Ultramel project, and answered all our questions. Just fantastic guy.
Love it.
Love it. And Al too. Al working for Mark, working at Mark's place. Great dude.
So mine's gonna be we purchased a bunch of snakes from Mark, but the one that really stood out to me was gonna be he came over and saw the collection. It was probably our second, maybe our third year doing things. And I was sure that we had a female that was going. I was like, no, she's done. She's going, guaranteed. And Mark came over and picked the snake up within 10 seconds. Like, picked her up, looked at her belly, put her down. No, she's not done. And I was like, fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. Like, I was like, yeah, she is. And she never went. And it was just kind of like, I don't know shit.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, okay. It was that one stuck out to me when it was just like, for him, it was just like, nope. He knew right away just by picking her up and looking at her. Didn't need an ultrasound to tell me what was in her. Just picked her up and was like, no, man, she's not going. And I was like, yeah, she is. What are you talking about? Oh, she didn't. Yeah. So that was a funny one.
Leo.
I think mine was in. Mark is every time I meet up with Mark, it's memorable. There's always some shit going on, right? Even when the first time I saw his stable at the show, I was like, "This is nuts!" Like his presentation, the colors, the pricing, everything. It's just this guy is a perfectionist and he does his shit right. But one of my favorite experiences with Mark is we all went down to Mexico the year November right before COVID, so 2019. And it was like Justin, Ozzy, Mark, and a few of us. Michelle were at our house, Bordex Ball Pythons. Will, a few different people were there. And then we're just like sitting by the pool, partying. Half of the people are wasted and stuff. And Mark just like all nonchalant comes up and is like, hey, I'm chatting with Ozzy. And he's like, do you guys want to eat? And we're like, what do you mean? He's like, I made some food. You guys should try it. So everybody was wasted to even say yes. But me and Ozzy said yes. We're like, fuck it, we'll go try it. And then we walk over with Mark Mandick and we walk into the resort's kitchen. And Mark is making food in the kitchen with the chefs of the resort because he knows them so well. So they make the food, they make the presentation. He's like, okay, let's go. And then the waiters came and like took the food that he made and presented us like on a really nice like lunch. And it was the minute I had that, I was like, this is the best meal I've ever had in my life.
What was it?
It's a
Curry, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a curry chicken plate, but it's what's that? Penang curry. And he gave me the recipe afterwards. I asked him for the recipe. He made videos of him and his wife cooking it and sent it to me. And I make that, and it's bang on how he makes it. And I make it all the freaking time. That was like one of my favorite experiences from this guy because like he just really does everything to a level that's like uncomparable. You know, he's an old school guy. Like he'll call me, like he won't, like he'll look at, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, he's gonna verbally talk.
And
No, Mark's not a
to him,
texter.
and he just has information.
Yeah.
You know,
I like that actually.
Mark's a gangster.
Stop texting me. Just call me.
Yeah.
Gene, what's your favorite Mark Mandick story?
I got a lot. I kind of fanboyed over Mark in the beginning.
Girl.
Yeah, Yeah. Kind of like Khalil said, his presence at the expo when I went there, the big white booth, the orange just popping.
Yeah.
And then I happened to take a look at his table and I was ready to spend a little bit of money and I seen a super OD female. And I thank Mark for this because it triggered everything, but my younger brother was there and asked if Mark could hold it till I got there. So I came up a few hours late. He had it on hold for me. I scooped it up. That's where my OD game started. And then 1 year at CRBE, Mark and Phil Robinson actually was down. And Chris Towers and Mike Graham and myself, we were all hanging out. And Mark was asked to go to the big dinner with the other guys. And he actually just said no. And me, Mark, Phil, Chris, and Mike went to the keg. We just had a nice small little dinner. And it was just,
I love it.
It was just super cool to see Mark kind of just like willing to bond with some of the newer, younger guys coming in and shoot the shit. And it was just a great time. He's super humble. He's always been there to help me or chat with me. Mark's always just, I feel like, been a huge presence here in Canada just because of the person that he is. Just the person that he is. He's very, very down to earth, and he was always willing to help me out, and I'll never forget that for sure.
Tristan, I know you got a Mark Mandic story.
Yeah, actually, I've only met Mark one time, and it was at the 2019 CRB, my first ever CRB. I had just gone there. I had just bought my first snake from Dean's Pet Store, and I was just getting into it. And obviously, you walk through the CRB, it's huge. It's like a 40,000 square foot building. It's massive, giant facility, basically. And like through all the booths and tables, you can just spot Mark's table right away because it's got this giant orange banner that just stands like 12 feet tall. Just you can see it from a mile away. And so like me and my girlfriend at the time, we just walked straight over to his table, and I saw this male. It was an OD banana cinnamon, this bright orange, crazy. And at the time, like I hadn't spent really serious money at the time, and this snake was $1,000. And so, Mark comes over, he's like, "You like this snake?" I'm like, "Yeah." And people were just eyeing it up. Like it was by far the nicest snake on the table to me anyways. Like obviously he had all his lightning pieds and whatnot, but at the time I wasn't really too keen on, recessives and whatnot. So to me, that snake just stood out and basically just talked me through it and kind of made sure that it was the right purchase for me. And he was willing to like spend, although the table was jam packed, he spent a good 10 minutes just going over everything with me, making sure that it was the right purchase. Super down to earth. And I do thank him for, pushing me to make that purchase, because obviously he was a good salesman at the end of the day and sold the snake.
Yeah.
But at the same time, before he made the sale, he made sure that it was the right thing to do, and I do thank him for that. And that's really the only Mark Mandic story I have, but it's a good one. So
imagine this, all these amazing stories about Mark Mandic. Imagine if this guy was a dick. Like, no, seriously, imagine Mark Mandic wasn't who he was. How much it would hurt. I'm sure we'd be okay, but how much of an inspiration this one guy has been to so many people in one country just because he has a good heart. You know what I'm saying? And he wanted to see, and to this day still wants to see growth within people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that is what we're missing the most out of this fucking hobby, is people who are at a position who are so high, just hook other people up, dude.
But he's there because of who he is. That's
exactly
who he is.
100%. That's it.
He is where he is because of who he is.
Mm-hmm. I genuinely don't think that the Canadian ball python market would be where it is today without Mark Mandic.
Yeah, he's
specifically,
especially on the respectable level where you guys are at. Like you guys, no one. Say what you want, but no one. You guys have fucking things that nobody could really fuck with. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you guys had something laid out, concrete foundation laid out for you. Yeah. And every person I talked to that I brought in from my show from Canada always gives respect to Mark Mandic.
Yeah.
So I got one more pretty good one, Mark.
Please.
It was at Tinley, and it was when he brought in remember the Marvel ball?
Yeah.
It was the pastel citrus super stripe.
Yeah.
He bought it at Mark Haas. I think it was Mark Haas. He bought that from at Tinley. And there was another guy that was at the table. I don't remember who it was. Another guy at the table talking, "I'm going to buy that thing. Like, that thing's mine." Like, it was a very expensive animal at the time. Yeah. And it just like, "That's mine. That's mine. No one's buying that." It just kind of being a bit like puffing his chest out a bit.
Yeah.
And he walked away. and Mark walked up to the table and bought it. And as they were walking, he was coming back to buy it. And Mark walked by and just like, too late.
Too late.
And the guy got to the table and was like, what? It's gone.
Was
And
this
it was
guy
just like
known
this.
or unknown?
Who, the guy who
That wanted it.
unknown now. But it was just like this, like poof. And it was just like, it didn't even bat an eye. It's like, I'll take that. That's a good looking animal. Yep. Look what he's done with it. It's crazy shit.
Mark Manick he doesn't post anymore, but he has a YouTube channel, and one of his videos is about how he got started.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool video to watch, how he first started and everything, and the history of what he used to do for a living and everything. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if you noticed already, Levance, when he started, he reached out to Mark.
I was gonna say one of my most memorable moments of Mark Mandic is hearing Levance from his mouth. And if you know Levance, fuck, if you ever had a couple sentences with him, feel special. You know what I'm saying? The guy is very to himself. And when he came on the podcast, gave nothing but the utmost respect to Mark Mandic. It was Mark that put Levance on and got that shit clicked in his head to become straight fire. You know what I'm saying?
At Tilly,
That's heavy to
Mark
say.
was there, and they went around shopping with Mark, and Mark helped him pick out some of his original breeder animals that he has now. Look at his collection now, right? Look at Levance collection. That all came from Mark helping him first pick out animals at Tilly. It's crazy.
And that's the shit that you really want from Levance. Guess what it says on the fucking on the little plastic thing? Ask Levance. There ain't no prices. Everything says ask Levance. And what's he gonna say? Nothing to you. Get out of my face. You know what I'm saying? All right, listen. This has been an amazing fucking 2 hours, guys. Honestly, I really went by too fast, but I do have a wrap up question for all of us, all of you guys, because as passionate you guys are, you guys are carrying an amazing legacy throughout your country. But I want to know. And we'll start with you, Christian. What do you want out of this in the next 5 years? And what I mean by what do you want out of this Canadian market? What do you want to see? What's something that you're really shooting for that goes in your guys' direction in the next 5 years?
Honestly, I think we're headed in the right direction. I just want to see some more growth. I want to see, and not just us hit stuff, but like new people hitting goals. I want to see like this CRB coming up, supposed to be a lot of new breeders. It's going to be the best one yet.
It's kind of like fresh out of COVID, right? I mean, what was CRB last year?
No, there wasn't one. This is the
first
one
since
2019.
This is like when Tinley happened last year. Like, this is a big one.
But they're doing fish this year as well. I think. They're doing
they're
they have
making it
Tanner
huge.
Fox coming in and they're doing like builds, it's pretty cool.
So I want to see newer people succeed. I want to see quad recessives over at Will's place. I want to with champagne.
No chance.
I just want to see it keep going in this direction. It's so much fun.
Let's bounce over to Tristan. Tristan, what do you want to see?
I just want to see growth. I think that's probably the biggest thing, is seeing more people get into the hobby in Canada. Yeah, we have a small population, but there's already a ton of breeders out in Ontario, BC, Alberta, out east. There's tons of them. It's always great to see people, taking the dive and investing into the hobby, because it's a great industry to be in, whether you're in ball pythons or green tree pythons or, monitors, whatever the case may be. There's nothing but good that will come from if people do it right to build the industry and put it in the right direction. That's pretty much where I want to see things in 5 years is just a lot of growth for us.
Big Dean.
Just success for everybody. I see tons of people working hard at what we do, and it doesn't always go the way they want it to, but just keep chipping at it. You'll succeed at some point, and network yourself. Have these new people that are coming into what we're doing, just get on the social media, start getting yourself known and opening your doors for when you are getting to that successful part. I find that's one of the hardest things for new people, is they don't know whether or not to start chiming in on things. And you don't need to know everything, but just start getting your name relevant.
It's okay to speak up.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And Dean's the only one to smoke a dab with me this entire trip. So thank you, Dean.
Welcome to Canada.
Yeah. Khalil, 514, what's good?
More support with everybody. And I think if we can try to help out people that are getting started, help them out, reach out to them. Well, not necessarily reach out, because that's going to be hard, but really try to get more community, because I think that's the only way that we're going to be able to grow bigger and better and in a much more positive way. And if you're going to, some of the bigger breeders that kind of not bigger breeders, but there's some guys out there that will act like, you know, they're friends with certain people and stuff like that. Like, I want to see way less of that, because it just really fucks up shit for everybody. You know what I mean? So less of that, more support, more actually caring about, you know, other people. And people like Mark Mandic, people like Will have really, really shown that. Or, you know, like Ozzy, like I talk to Ozzy quite often, and like he really cares about you developing. He doesn't have a lot of time. He's so freaking busy with everything that he's doing, right?
Right.
But he cares about you growing and developing and doing the right moves, and to your face too, right? Like, you know what? When I first met Will that first night at CRV, the second time, and we stayed up to like 1 or 2 in the morning talking outside in front of the lobby of the hotel talking. I'm like, yo, this guy doesn't even have to talk to me.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? And in my head, like, yeah, I bought up how like maybe a doubt, like this guy just talking to me now, like whatever it is, you know. But there was a while before I bought anything from Will, and Will never like not answered my phone call or replied or messaged me back, or you know what I mean. Yeah. That's what you know is genuine, and that's really the way it is. Same thing with Mark. I bought one snake from Mark. Mark will never, if he misses my call, he'll call me right back.
Yeah.
Half an hour, he'll call me right back, and he won't be like, oh, what do you want? Whatever, you know. Yeah. Like for 2-3 hours, he'll sit down and, you know, have a chat with you. So more of these types of people, more of these relationships and the community, and putting relationships before money. I think relationships are a way bigger and better currency than money, especially where we're going in our society.
Yeah. Really.
I want to see some cool shit, man. I want to see some cool snakes.
Impress the guy.
Enough of this heartfelt shit, boys. Like, come on, let's make some cool stuff. Yeah. But no, yeah, like obviously I want to see everybody. I want to see these guys succeed primarily. Right. I want to see just the market grow. I want to see more people coming in. I want to see less people getting out, and I want to see everybody just like push that envelope and like strive to make like be creative, make cool stuff. Like at the end of the day, like you said, make cool shit, buy cool shit, make cool shit, sell cool shit. Like that's like that needs to go on a t-shirt. Miguel,
motto.
like brand that. Like that needs to go on a t-shirt because I'm on that. Like that, I really like that. And I think that's just where we're headed. You know, just like the stuff's getting crazier and crazier and crazier. The people are getting better and better and better. And you know, we just keep it moving. Yeah. You know? Mm-hmm. And honestly, all you guys like just killing it, you know?
Just keep the momentum going.
You could slow down a little though.
If it's one thing I want to see happen more in Canada is more fucking breeders visiting Canada from America. I feel like whoever has a big influence in America, whoever has a big following, needs to get the fuck over to Canada, CRB, see what's happening here. CRB, I won't be at CRB this year, but I will be at CRB next year. And if you're like you out there, if you're in a position where you could travel, don't fucking sleep on Canada, because this experience was something I will always take with me. And I'm telling you right now, this has probably been one of the best podcasts I've done remotely, man. I appreciate it. Now, I want to say this has been an amazing host. This lady, Michelle. Michelle, why don't you take over Khalil's seat here?
Take Khalil away.
Okay, I gotta say your home is beautiful. Okay, you have the house pets of many dreams that I have of maybe having someday.
You can have a few.
But Michelle, before we wrap things up, you know, what is it that you're involved with? I'm just curious. What are some things that you have going on that you work with that you're happy to be a part of?
Stranger.
Wow.
You don't even want to know.
No, I love Stranger. I like a single gene Stranger female, and then I like to pair with the heavy stuff from everybody else. Hurricanes, some super hurricanes, some Hayabusa. I like that. Some Aussie stuff that's pretty heavy.
What is it heavy from Aussie?
Right? Super OD, super Enchy, fire leopard, yellow belly, banana, het pied. Female maker is one of my strongest guys from Oz. Nice. He's beautiful. But last year we had bought him a couple years back, and Paul does the pairings and he does all the feedings. So
Paul's your husband, right?
Yeah. So we go in and we're cutting eggs, and because they're so close, one's pit. So anyways, we open it up and there's some super fires the first time. So we're both we've been married 30 years. And I'm telling him, you put the wrong male. Like, I don't know what you did here, but you put the wrong male. No. Next time we had ivories. I said, dude, you did it again. Like, something's wrong. I'm calling him. I'm calling all. So then I call Oz. I'm like, oh, something's up with this male. Just a minute, I'll get back to you. He says, oh yeah, he's fire and yellow belly. Wow. So anyways, now we laugh about it all the time, and it is really funny. We're not big. I like small, very few clutches. I don't.
Your less is
stuff.
more. Less
Yeah.
is more.
We
Really
don't
good
make
stuff.
anything that I don't want to sell to pet people.
Or even have to wholesale. Or
No,
anything
we
like
tried
that.
the pet thing, and it really didn't work
It's hard.
for
It
me.
takes a
It
different
was
breed for
really
that.
tough.
Right.
I found it really tough. Other than that, we just like to stay small, and we have a lot of DG stuff that's good. Not as good as what most of you guys have, but got a small DG project. I think Will 1.4 or something, or nothing major.
Well, I'm sure you've heard this saying before, Michelle. You are who you hang around with.
Yeah, well,
So if you keep hanging around with these people, and then you're.
I did make a really nice snake that Will stole from me last year. Just saying.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't steal
I
it,
know.
but it's a good one. That's
It's
the
a beauty.
it's actually on your vlog.
Really? Okay.
The
Got asphalt in it.
What was it? Super
Oh.
asphalt BPI.
Dude, that thing is
It was
nasty.
crazy.
I'm a gravel guy.
That thing is nasty.
It was- The
One
bet-
of the nicest super asphalts I've
Yeah.
ever seen.
when it came out, I sent it to him right away, and we're like, oh my God, we did it. But we also got some, the asphalt albinos as well. And
Yep.
again, we didn't know that they were het albino. So that was a
Oh.
call to Billy. I'm like, Billy, I got some albino in that. And he's like, oh yeah, they're het albino. What? When I first bought that, it's only a trio, 1.2. Asphalt het BPIs, 1.2 years ago.
Right.
I tried to give them away for real,
Wow.
and nobody would take them.
Even giving them away.
She didn't
I
call
did.
me.
That's crazy.
I'd have taken them.
I tried because I'm a visual, and when we first started, everything was visual in my mind.
Mhm.
And nobody would take them, as strange as that sounds.
Mhm.
And then when they laid that last year, I said, no, we're not going anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
Billy wanted the 3, but I'm just going to keep them. If we can hit that jackpot again,
Yeah.
that would be
you
nice.
definitely seem like somebody that people should be following, especially if they're into the ball python game. So that being said, where can people see your work? Where can people follow you on Instagram?
I'm on Facebook under my own name.
Oh, Facebook. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm on Instagram under Mordix_ball_pythons.
Okay.
I have some stuff up there, but I'm pretty quiet on social media. I mean, I have a lot to take care of here, and 2 young kids.
She has a pig.
She has a pig.
You're not too
Super
quiet
cool.
to come on my show though. So
A
you're,
little bit.
Super cool.
but you'll be willing to come on my show and do a one-on-one, right?
Probably, yeah.
All right.
Hell yeah.
You're gonna
Hell
attack
you
me?
gotta have her on.
Attack you? It depends.
You got it.
Well, listen, I appreciate you being a great host to
No
this
problem.
show because I mean I couldn't find a better place. I mean, the vibe has been great. I had the most awesome designer cats jump in front of the camera.
Did they?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was-
no.
I want to know. I had no problem with that whatsoever. You know, we had a teacup Yorkie in all our hands at one point. So
Oh, there, Al's got
yeah,
one.
it's an amazing time. And I gotta say, Michelle, you're amazing, amazing
you.
people. You and your husband.
Let's go
And
eat.
please go give her a follow. I will put your link in the description below, so people give you a follow. And guys, that's all we have on this episode of Trap Talk with MJ, RCR and friends. That's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Guys, before you head out, please do your boy a favor. This is your first time tapping in. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and then drop your comment. Let me know who you like the best. Was it Will? Was it Michelle? Was it Christian? I don't know, man. But,
Mr. March.
but also, guys, two last shameless pledge, man. If you guys would like to support what I do more than a viewer subscription, please go to the link, join my Patreon page, become a Patreon member, and then also, if you're really about this Python shit, join Will's Patreon page, because I'm telling you right now, if you want to talk about an investment for only $25 for one of your tiers,
Yeah,
right?
flat tier.
And I'm talking, this is straight knowledge that will take you to the next level. Please join this guy's Patreon page as well. But that's all we have, guys. And then again, thank you, Christian, so much for sponsoring this episode.
Appreciate it. It's
And
been
that's
fun.
a
It's
wrap,
been fun.
ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you guys here next week for another Trap Talk with MJ. We're out. Cheers.